What's up, everybody? Yes, there's no webcam. I know I'm on an IRL screen with no webcam. The reason being is I am both sunburnt, breaking out, and tired, and have bedhead. So, no webcam. Anyways, Rohan, it's good to see you, buddy. Welcome, everybody, whoever's here lurking in the background, to Off Script RP Podcast Episode 4. Today, we have special guest Officer McDonald's, Oddities, and Seraphima. They will be joining us for a discussion kind of focused around criminal RP, but not just criminal RP, but like playing criminals in a roleplay scenario without actually being like a bad guy about it. Basically, the title I gave is being the bad guy without being a bad guy. Essentially, the idea is how you can play essentially the bad guy on a server, but still provide roleplay, still make it fun for people, still make it fun for civs, still focus on roleplay as the center of it, not asset collection, not winning, not FPS shooting, but telling a story using a criminal as your character. So that being said, let's go ahead and go find everybody. Hello.
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 So we
Wait, this isn't about FPS shooting?
No,
I'm
it's
in the
not.
wrong place.
I know. Yeah, right. It's I tricked you. It's not about Overwatch or anything like that. It's or CS:GO.
Awkward.
Like I said, guys, we have Seraphima, Officer McDonald's, and Oddities with us today. And the topic is going to be kind of focused around criminal RP and things of that nature. So just kind of get the ball rolling. First off, we'll start with just kind of going down the line of talking about our favorite criminal characters, either that we've played with, or that we've observed on a stream or you know, from a distance in RP. So Tease, you're the first on my little screen here. Who is your most favorite criminal that you've either watched, played with, or played as?
Why are you going with me first?
Because on my screen you're first.
I don't have a favorite. I say that because I've interacted with a lot of criminal characters, and a lot of them have pros and cons, and a lot of them are great, and a lot of them are terrible for their own reasons and character. So I never really had a favorite where I was like, oh, that's the one I love.
Okay.
So
do you have like a couple like that just off the top of your head you can think of, like even in like a top 3 that you just, it doesn't even have to be your favorite, but just things you like, oh, I really like this character for none. Okay.
No.
All right. Okay,
none.
fine.
And I've like the characters like Bada, Luca Gambino, shit like that. Like they're all in the consideration, but I can't pick one over the other. I can't make a list.
No. Yeah, not one over the other.
Way.
Yeah, no,
not, I know.
Yeah, not any one over the other, but like some
We're
that
already
just stick out in your
complicating
mind.
this. Thanks, Neon.
All right. McDonald's, what about you, since Tease doesn't want to play ball?
Overall, I'm biased. Overall, Russell.
Russell Leonard?
Russell is literally my favorite person to play with, do crime, run into, whatever, because Miggs is just a fucking hoot. There's a side to Russell that a lot of people don't realize. Sorry, I'm eating.
You're fine.
Which is always nice whenever you come around to seeing it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I haven't really gotten to see a lot of Russell. I've never really gotten a chance to RP with him on a criminal. I've gotten to arrest him a few times on McNeil, but that's about it. So I never get to see that other side of him.
Let me put it this way. Mr. Non-Violent Russell Leonard owns at least an Uzi and a couple sawn-offs, I think, that I can think of off the top of my head.
Oh, jeez.
But like overall, Russell is up there. If we're delving into like serious crime stuff, probably my first couple weeks on the server, that was a lot easier to answer. I would definitely say Bada, but I only really had 2 or 3 interactions with Bada in my first couple weeks.
Or it's going to be a lot of reoccurring answers for this one.
It sounds like it, yeah. Okay, so it sounds like Sarah's going to be in the same ballpark as...
Yeah, the more serious side, it was definitely 100% Bada always. I followed that story pretty closely from the time I started RPing here. But then, like, non-serious, but can still be serious, because I've had serious RP with this character, is Stanley. I fucking love Stanley. I love Stanley. I love I just love Flynn, but I love Stanley. I think that he has a side to him that not a lot of other people see. It's a serious side to him. But a lot of the times you get the derpiness and just him making you laugh, and I think that comedic relief in RP is always needed, and he's always there to give that.
Mikey and Stanley have straight up shot somebody on the side of the road before.
Yeah, they have.
You know,
it was great.
All right, I'm gonna recant my previous statement.
Okay.
Yeah. Tony Corleone.
Yes, Tony
Yes.
Corleone. Okay,
I've-
now we're talking.
I've watched him since days when I did interact with him, even briefly on FAM. He always balanced serious, ridiculous, and he always had something going on. He was always moving.
He was
there was
always
always
doing
something.
something.
Yeah, and it was either you never knew if you were going to be shot or if you were going to get goofball Tony, and it never felt out of sorts. It was always fantastic.
Well, and there was
I
times
kind
when-
of.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it kind of like that was sort of the basis that I use when I'm thinking of criminal characters of always moving, always going, always doing.
Yeah, I mean that's perfectly
Wait.
fair, and that. Oh, wait, what?
Wait.
Dude, I was so happy that I got to RP with Tony when I did on Paco because I got both sides of him. I got the side where he was doing the hitchhike emote with his gun showing off his deagle, and he's like, see this? Look at that, look at that, look at
the
that, look
molly.
at that. Or the molly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the molly. When he held the molly and he was doing the hitchhiking, he was like, I'm gonna burn you, motherfucker. I'm gonna do it. But then 5 seconds later, he's talking about scalping one of the Gambinos, and it was just like, he was such a good balance for that character. It never felt like this doesn't belong. It always worked for me, so I love that. That's good bring up. I'd have to say silly derpy Tony Corleone 100%, and serious, well, hands down, I'm gonna have to go with you guys and say Bada, like without even questioning, just because I followed that story a little bit, but then actually getting to roleplay with Bada a lot on
Yeah.
Paco, like a lot, I got to see a very different side to Bada that you don't always get to see on stream, and it was so natural the way that character felt believable, yet like you were drawn to that character. You were drawn to see what was going to happen, what he was going to do. You wanted to be around that story no matter what, and it was very cool. So I'm with you there without question.
I mean,
What-
Chief just in general though, like
Mm-hmm.
Agreed,
okay, so
yeah.
Bada hated my character Callie because she screwed him over,
Yeah.
which at the time I didn't know. But
Don't you hate
she
that?
yeah. She screwed over like half the server though, so that's a whole different story. But he still, even when he would come into contact with Callie, Chief would still interact with her, and that kind of leads to like a later on talking point
Uh-huh.
of
It
like
does.
keeping the
Yep.
RP going.
Yep.
He still interacted with her, but you could feel that tension, and that's why I
Mhm.
think like interacting in those situations when even your character doesn't like the other character, it
was great.
builds so much story, and that tension,
Yep.
you'll never get that again. Like I can remember vividly on the side of the road with Alex Ricci because our car had broken down, and Bada like pulls up and he sees that Callie's there, and instant tension. And I don't think I'll ever get that feeling again. I hope I do, but
You might. You played
So
Dawn.
anyways.
It'll happen.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing with my cop character is so far, just everyone likes her. Like I have the Vagos.
Even the
saying,
Vagos like her. Like,
yeah, the Vagos are like the only reason we didn't shoot is because Dawn was there. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh well.
Yep,
Well,
it's
damn
true.
it. I saved McDonald's ass the other morning because he was gonna get shot until Dawn showed up.
Yep. Well, like, because
Mild.
Dawn, see, I always wanted, so like with Dawn specifically, when it comes to Diego, Dawn was a cadet when Diego first got arrested on the freeway with Halen. You remember that?
Yes, because I
Yeah.
G-Sync slammed into the back. Of me, I
Oh,
remember.
hard rammed me. But I always wanted the first interaction cop, because it was very similar to how Paco was on Pub. When Paco first interacted, the first cop he interacted with was Bosco. And there was always this rapport that got built between Bosco and Paco because he was the first cop to arrest him. And it just always became this thing. I kind of wanted to replicate that with Diego. So the first officers that arrested him, I kind of wanted to keep that going. So I was so happy when you were one of the officers. I got so giddy when I was like, oh, it's Dawn. This will be fun. And so ever since then, I've been trying to, you know, as long as the RP allows, kind of have that be a thing. So that was great.
Yeah, I mean, your character, as far as I know, isn't like always the biggest fan of cops, but you still RP with me, which
And that-
I appreciate.
Oh, and that's something that's like, as you said, that's a whole topic we want to get into here in just a little bit, because
Mhm.
that is a huge thing that has been a topic of conversation amongst myself, a lot of LEOs, a lot of criminals, and something that I think really needs to be discussed and kind of start becoming a common thing to be found amongst criminals. But so before we start delving way too far down the rabbit hole of like skipping topics, which I'm totally fine with, by the way, if it goes that way. So we were talking about, favorite criminals that we've either roleplayed with or seen. what makes those characters fun to play or fun to play with? So we talked about Bada. Like all four of us pretty much agreed that Bada's in our top like gambit of criminals. What makes him fun? Let's just focus on him. What makes him fun to play with? What makes him fun to interact with? What makes him? I mean, you mentioned Seraphima. You mentioned that he role plays with you even if his character doesn't like you. Is there anything else you guys can think of, kind of across the board here, that helped make that character fun?
I mean, the fact that
Hey, Rhythmic.
and Chief said this the other day in community discussion. He was a mango loving South African, but like he could be talking about the fact that he loves mangoes,
Yeah.
and you would take him seriously.
Oh, 100%.
It's just it's the way he composes himself,
Yeah.
and he carries himself, and he has this aura around him of like, okay, this person just walked in the room, shit's probably gonna get serious. But then he could surprise you, and he would just be like goofy and like Chief.
Does
like,
anyone remember when
essentially.
he was rolling around the server in his shorts, Hawaiian shirt, flip flops, and fedora?
Yes.
Going all
Yes.
Miami Vice.
He went.
yeah.
He went straight Miami. He went from South African drug lord to Miami Vice in about 4 seconds, and it still felt real. Like it felt like it made sense. It felt like
yeah, it felt natural. It didn't feel forced.
yeah, it didn't feel
at all.
forced. It didn't feel like it was just Chief spilling through Bada. It felt like Bada's just having a chill weekend, and he just wants to live life to its fullest. In his
And like you never really questioned it when it
No.
came to him. It was just like, okay, well, like I guess Chief's in, in a Hawaiian shirt and a fedora today.
Yeah.
This is fine.
What else? Joe, you mentioned that you got to RP with him a little bit on your first couple of weeks. What were some of the things that you really enjoyed about that character when you first got to the server and were first interacting with him?
Character and group kind of, I guess. It was a really, like, for somebody just starting out, and obviously Mikey was a fucking shithead from the get-go.
Which is why your avatar literally says "fuck Mikey" on my screen.
Fuck Mikey. But they were very, I'm gonna say they, because I'm kind of referring to the group, but Chief was a big pusher of it from my understanding. Very
Uh-oh.
new criminals. What?
You cut out for a split second there. Can you say it again for me?
They weren't necessarily like, it wasn't like, I don't want to use the term new criminals, but they were welcoming to people that were already like a little on the, hey, we might get into some crime,
Yeah.
and gave it an end into something more serious.
I like that. Okay. Bada always had a thing of giving people a chance. Like if he saw even the slightest amount of potential in you that he could either do business with you, or OOC, he saw potential that, okay, this character is going to be someone that's good. He wanted to give you a shot. He didn't want to have you bend over backwards and jump through hoops. He wanted to give you that initial shot. I remember that very well.
Can't agree with that because he tried it with Callie and then she spit in his face.
Wow.
Don't do that. I mean, you could do that by all means. It fit my character because she was a con artist. So, and she still is to this day when I play her. She will con people out of anything that she can get out of them. I think to this day, she's paid for one car that she's owned. Everybody else has just bought stuff for her.
Lauren's not too far off on that, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
we
And the funny thing is there was always a tension between Callie and Lauren, and it kind of makes sense now
yeah.
why there was.
Well,
I think Lauren only bought 2 cars out of like the 10 she owned.
and that goes for 2 servers, by the way. That's not exclusive to just TFRP. She got 2 cars paid for her on TRP as well.
I mean, my first day on whitelist, somebody gave her a car for free.
Yeah.
And, like I don't really know why, but I think it was Magnus that did it, that gave her the car for free. And it was like her dream car too, even though it was like some dinky little car.
That's funny.
She got it her first day, and I was like, okay, well, this works. And then like even as of recently, like she's kind of dropped out of like the crime scene, obviously, because engaged to a cop. But when he proposed to her, he gave her a car. She made that her thing. She, instead of a ring, she wanted a car, but she got a car and a ring.
That sounds
She's
like
good at
Lauren.
what she does. I don't know how she does it, but she does.
Yeah, that's hysterical because when Lauren got proposed to, he gave her a set of brass knuckles. So I mean,
Hell yeah.
I mean, Callie would have took that too, but I don't. I don't think the cop's gonna give her some duckies.
Probably not. More than likely.
I mean, one could hope.
Okay, so what about another criminal that people got to run into? Let's see. Did it? I know. I got to RP with Jeffrey Connors.
I'm gonna add one.
Oh yes.
Okay, go ahead, Joe.
Here's another one of those derpy.
Hang on
but
one
you never
second.
know
One
what's gonna
second.
happen.
My
Internet's being
my
dumb.
internet's being done. My stream just kind of had a hiccup. Give it a second.
Holding.
Yep.
It keeps hiccuping, yeah.
I'm watching the bitrate. It's climbing back up. It's just it just tanked out for a minute, but it's back up.
McDonald's is used to this.
Just buy more bitrate for ahead.
Oh, sounds like the doggos are awake.
Yes, they are. Wait, oh fuck, hang on, I need to fix something if you
Okay,
guys can hear.
you're fine. Yeah, the stream is back up, which is good. But we'll let Mikey, or excuse me, McDonald's fix what he wants to do. I happened to glance over at my bitrate and saw fuck Mikey. I was like, oh, just let Mike. Oh, it's not Mikey.
I mean, you can call him what I
Okay,
call
hello?
him, which is a mixture of McDonald's and Mikey. I just call him Mackie.
Mackie, there you go. Okay,
Can you guys actually hear me? or do
I
need
can.
to-
Yep. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
good.
no, you're
Yep,
good, yeah.
Go for it.
Okay.
All right. So what were you gonna say?
Let's switch to RTX. I'm going to add. I'm gonna get some shit for this one. I'm going to add Josue Diaz to my list.
Oh my
my
gosh.
Okay, here, wait. The fact that you guys just reacted with "Oh my god" is good.
I
Because
know,
That means you
I-
have an emotional reaction to the
Yes,
criminal.
I agree.
So,
No.
I don't like him either, but that's good. You should always like criminals.
No, I like Josue. My characters hate Josue. There's a difference.
There you go.
Because
yeah.
I like him
love,
because
I
he
love
is.
Josue.
Everybody loves to hate Josue.
Yes,
Yes.
everybody loves to hate Josue. Josue Diaz is the like we need like forget the fuck Mikey stuff. We need to fuck Josue thing because that character is oh my gosh.
I mean, to be fair, the amount of times I've heard
Especially-
Mikey in character say "fuck Josue."
yeah,
it's
uh-huh.
so many.
Man, yeah, no,
But
he's
Especially like early on, whenever Josue was just simple Azteca wannabe crack selling Josue. Fucking hilarious.
yeah. Well, and it was
Wasn't
funny.
he the one that tried to sell drugs to cops on innocence?
Yeah,
Wasn't
more than
that
likely,
him?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, and it was funny because
And then
everyone
he
called him
tried to deny
Josue.
it.
Remember, he wasn't Josue, he was Josue for the longest time.
Yeah.
And cops would go, "Is
He
it
has-
Jose?" And he'd be like, "No, it's Josue." And we're like, "Excuse me? Like what?"
He
Man,
has
my stream is bottoming out
sold
again.
drugs to cops so many times. He
Yep.
got busted at Tequila Law one time.
Yeah, I was there for that.
Actually, I
McNeil
think-
McNeil helped for that one.
Actually, no, he got busted at Tequila Law probably like 3 times. Actually, he would literally, if a place was open and there were people there, he was going in there to try and fucking sell drugs if he had drugs to sell. Man's
Which
had
I
the
like
hustle.
that. I like that. It's the risk for reward kind of thing. Like if it worked out, then it worked out. But if it didn't, he was probably going to jail.
All right, hang on. My thing has completely bottomed out now. Like, it's at 0 and just sitting there.
Spectrum.
It's not Spectrum. That's the thing. Is it's Suddenlink.
I don't even know what that is.
It's they're a pretty big provider out in the Midwest. They provide a lot of Texas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas. Come on. It's just sitting at 0. What the heck, dude? I hate that I pay for this internet and it does this to me.
Especially during peak time.
Right? Like, why the heck is this happening on a Sunday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon? Like, come on.
That's my same thing with Comcast. Like it'll just
Oh, fuck
randomly bottom out
Comcast.
for no reason, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, there's
Well,
nothing even happening.
And the weird part is my download is always fine. It's my upload that will just have an issue.
my
Are you
download
using
goes
slobs
to
or Are
shit.
you using something else?
Am I using what?
Slobs or something else?
I use OBS. I don't use slobs. I tried using slobs when it first came out and it was fine for like a week, and then they did some updates to it. And ever since then,
Broke it.
huh?
Broke it.
They broke it so bad. Like, 'cause I was one of the people who was using it when it literally dropped. Like the day it dropped, I was using it for about a week and I loved it. I was like, I love everything about this. It's great. It's using less CPU. It's doing blah 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 blah. And then a week later, they put out a bunch of updates and it just was awful. Okay, I think we're back.
It looks like it.
Just in case,
So I
I'm
have
gonna
a
have
crying
people.
puppy in my background now. There's gonna be a lot of dogs in this podcast.
That's all good. Kaylee probably around here somewhere. I could probably have her come in here if I wanted to, but my aunt's dog is here. She's a cute little Westie. All right, we should be. I'm having people refresh the stream real quick, but we should
Yeah,
be
I had
good.
to refresh.
Yeah.
I have a very, if people don't know this, pit bulls are very, very needy and want attention all the time.
Yes,
and we
they
have a
are.
purebred pit bull puppy in the house right now.
Oh no.
So
That's like
she
needy
is
times
like,
two.
give me attention all the time, please.
That's cute. Okay, we should be back. So, we were talking about Josue. and his insanity.
Fuck Josue.
Fuck Josue. No, I mean, what's
mean,
great
like-
though is how many of us now draw out stuff into like fuck that or anything like that because of him. Because I know I do it. I know I
Yeah.
watched enough of him doing it, whether on his streams or from other people running into him. And just the way he speaks, I find myself doing it just because it's like Tony Corleone's where everyone's like "fack," like everyone does that because of Tony and how much
Yeah.
often he did it. Josue's the same thing.
Also, with who was it? I think it was Tony that started the redundant thing. I'm pretty sure that was him. Everybody was saying that for like a good little bit, but it was the same thing with you. Do you remember Callie and Aless? The way that they would like at the end of their sentences, they would do like the inflection, or
The
whatever
upward
at the end of it,
inflection,
and
yep.
everybody else.
Everybody started doing it.
Everybody
Yeah.
else started doing it
Yep.
too.
Even though they didn't
that's-
mean
it's kind
to.
of the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I didn't even notice that I was doing it, and then Aless started doing it as well.
Yeah.
And then everybody
Right.
around us would start doing it, and they're like, "Why am I talking like this?"
Yeah.
And
Or
then who was it?
well, Doug
Lenny?
DeGlasso in chat, he's Tyrell's motherfucker. Like everyone now said
Oh,
motherfucker.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that shows that your character has impact, even
Yep.
if you think that it doesn't.
Even if it's something
It
that
100%
small,
does.
like
Yeah.
I love
Like
it.
your character doesn't have to have big, huge server changing, story changing impacts. Like little things like that still bleed into other people's RP, and I think that's something that people need to keep in mind.
I agree.
And I have to say that, you know, we're talking about Josue, we're talking about all these other characters. I love Tyrell so
I love
fucking
Tyrell
much.
so much.
He
I love him so
is
much.
probably like the criminal that whenever I encountered him on any character, I was always super excited to interact with him, even when it was ridiculous, or me scooping him up on Gage and him yelling that he's dying. and shit.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm dying.
I've always been so excited that, like, the day that I ran into him on Teresa and he was going to use me as a hostage and paused, I was like, please, 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 I really want this. Use me as a hostage.
And then they're like, wait, who's your cousin? Oh, never mind. And they're like, nope. And they got in the car and drove
But
off.
he's such a good balance of silly, ridiculous, social, very social,
Yeah.
and also very, like, you don't know if he's going to start shooting or things are going to get
So anyways,
absolutely
Tyrell
chaotic.
started blasting.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
God.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I mean, we could go on and on and on with the amount of amazing characters, criminal characters that we've run into on the server. I know I was about to briefly mention like how many of us got to RP with Jeffrey Connors or Alexis Freeman or
Jeffrey Connors was Jeffrey Connors.
yeah, he was a character. All right, there is no classification other than just Jeffrey Connors, but
Pretty much, yeah.
yeah. All right, look, listen. All right, look, listen. Like that's what you meant by the redundant thing, right? The whole like repeating yourself. Or
I cannot remember if it was him or if it was what was Hand Me Down's character, Jaden. One of them was saying something one day because they were having issues with Grove, and they
Mhm.
just kept saying, like, they were going over like what had happened. I think they were talking to the Kings.
Mhm.
Maybe I might have that right. Yes, because Coolidge was there, and like they just kept saying it's redundant over and over again, and they're like,
Oh.
it's Grove. What am I supposed to do? It's redundant, and I'm just like, it was a beautiful, derpy, but yet serious, like somebody might die.
I think that's a
moment in
super
RP.
important thing to keep in mind when you're doing serious RP is to keep the shred of humor alive. Obviously, read the room. Read the room is huge, and for
Yes.
anything serious,
Mhm.
sad, funny, it doesn't matter. You have to read the room. But there's not I can't think of a single serious criminal RPer that I've RP'd with for any amount of time that doesn't keep a shred of humor alive in their character. Maybe not every scene, maybe not every scenario. Obviously, if you've got a gun in your mouth, you don't want to be joking about it, but keeping that shred of humor alive is super important to keeping your character feel human, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Monhold,
Yep,
kind of how
it's
Paco
in
after-
my it's in my notes multiple times. Read the room and
Yep.
give
Yep.
your character some human-like aspects,
Yep.
please. You are
Yep.
not a superhero.
Monhold,
Word.
I agree with
Most
that.
badass.
Oh, 100% badass. But, I mean, badasses make sense to a point. Like having one or two badasses on a server, provided they're built right, is good. The problem is when you have a server full of 30 badass criminals that don't.
And no one's unique.
That no one's unique.
No one's a
exactly.
badass.
Yeah, like anyone who's
Yeah.
seen Incredibles and knows like if everyone has superpowers and nobody has them, it's the same thing. Like if everybody's a badass, nobody's a badass. It's just a bunch of FPS players that don't want to lose. Like that's not fun. Like
Even
And-
the badass characters, though, like Get a flaw, please. I
Yes.
just want
Yes,
a flaw,
yes,
or
yeah.
like a weakness or something. Like,
Something to make them feel human.
yeah, I want it to feel, as we've said multiple times, authentic. I want you to feel authentic. I don't want to feel like I'm talking to Mackie's gonna laugh at this. I don't feel like I don't want to be talking to a cardboard cutout, which is funny because my cop character calls his cop character a cardboard cutout.
Why?
He thinks he has no personality.
But like
So-
with badasses, you know, having a flaw or something to like really compel them in that way, it makes the story way more compelling and way more interesting to either be involved in
Oh, yeah,
or
100%.
watch when they're known for being this badass and suddenly they're shook or suddenly they're struggling and you're like, oh shit, what's happening?
Yeah.
What is going
Well,
on?
and to go
They
along
walk
with
into a room and their one weakness is there, and
Yeah.
you're like, "What's
Yeah.
gonna happen? How are they
Yep.
gonna react?
Yeah.
How
Yep.
are they gonna handle this?"
Yep. Well, and something that always stuck with me, Classy Pack said this. I was watching him when he was doing Red Dead RP, and he was talking about how, you know, like if you're playing, and obviously with Red Dead kind of becoming a thing with fam now in the next couple of weeks, this is very pertinent to this. But if you're gonna play someone who's a gunfighter, for example, and they always draw their gun, great, play that character. If you're gonna live by the gun, die by the gun. If you're gonna always draw your weapon no matter what is happening, it's not NVL as long as you're playing the character, provided that when someone finally does outshoot you, when someone finally does outdraw you, you die to it. I'm not saying you want to force perma somebody, but when that situation arises, you don't just go, oh, I'll be out of the hospital or the doctor's office in 10 minutes, because then it's like, well, now you're just, huh?
Make it mean something.
Make it mean something.
Mhm.
Exactly. Make it be like you, like this guy's always drawing his weapon and he always wins. He always wins until the time he doesn't, and then he's down. And it's like, oh shoot, that's the guy who killed, you know, so and so. That's huge for someone's story. Like if you're the guy who finally took down the big guy because he always lived by the gun and then he finally died by it, that's huge story progression. But anyways, so talking about all these different characters and talking about some of these characters that have actually transitioned, because, you know, T's mentioned Tyrell, who started as a very silly criminal. I watched one of the, he showed me a VOD today from one of the first times Tyrell was on the server. And obviously now with him being a full-fledged Vago, do you guys think it's more fun or more enjoyable or better for story or whatever to watch a Civ, someone who starts as complete neutral, middle of the road, slowly kind of devolve into crime through RP? Or do you think it's more fun and enjoyable to watch just someone make a criminal and just jump right into what they're already doing? Like, what do you guys have any like insight on that?
I do.
Okay, go for it.
I think if done right, and you have, I mean, I'm the kind of RPer, I don't really come up with an entire backstory. I'll come up with very little things and then let things just kind of happen through RP.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you have a reason as to, in a backstory reason as to why your character came to the city and is just immediately jumping into knocking stores over or robbing people or whatever, by all means, if you can RP it, do it. But I also love a good, you know, a Civ that came in and was very, very pure and was trying to abide by the law.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, life knocked them down one too many times. And they were like, you know what, I've had it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not doing, what is doing this doing for me? It's not getting me anywhere. So then they slowly move into the life of crime and, like, you know, even you don't have to go straight into like murdering people.
No.
It's just like, oh, I'm gonna take a risk and I'm gonna go smack this ATM with this crowbar because other people can do it. Why can't I? They're not getting punished for it, and I'm getting punished for being, you know, a quote unquote good person.
Yeah.
You know, I
Well-
like that. I like seeing that story kind of deteriorate in that way. You know, watch a character kind of break itself down.
And to be honest with you, along the lines, so I just started watching Breaking Bad recently. I've never watched it before. And as I'm watching the story and I'm kind of like watching all the elements of it, I realized how few times have we seen a character come in and instead of like, you know, because mostly in RP, what do we see? We see someone starting with almost nothing and then tries to, quote unquote, I'm going to use this phrase lightly, win to get to the top of whatever ladder they're going for. They're trying to achieve all these things. When have we ever seen somebody start and do the exact opposite?
It's rare.
Somebody
It's-
already has everything they want, or somebody's already achieved what they want, and slowly but surely they're devolving, and you know there's an end coming. You know what I mean? Like I don't think I've ever seen a character do that personally.
Luca? Hello?
Okay, maybe. Okay, you're right. Luca Gambino,
Luca,
100%.
when
Yeah,
he went
that's right.
fucking batshit,
That's right.
and
Yeah,
he
yeah,
had
yeah.
the hotel room with cocaine and like was murdering people. Like that was fucking
That's right.
nuts.
I forgot about that.
Yep, that is true.
That was kind of when I was taking a break from the server, or right around that
Yeah.
time. So that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
yeah.
rolling up the Tazzy and like just going ape shit. Oh man, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, well, Rhythmic makes a good point. Luca worked up to that though after the family spent a
Yeah.
lot of time establishing that, which is true. And so that's more of like that was like a second part to his story, but it's definitely.
To be fair, Chief kind of did something kind of similar. The way that he went out,
True.
he had like he.
But he had
Chief
to
for the
again. He had to build
longest
up to all
time
that.
Had, yeah, I mean, he had a big build up to it, and he had a RP reason, as far as I know, as to
Yeah.
why he did what he did and why he went out the way that he did.
He did, yeah.
But he had everything.
Yeah.
Realistically speaking, he had everything, and then to a lot of people, to like, you know, just the blind eye, you would think, oh, why did he just throw away everything that he just had? He did it for a reason.
Yeah.
But
Well,
he
Botacon never did
he
anything
definitely
without a
went
reason.
from being, yeah, he definitely went from like on the top of the world, had everything, people looked up to him, he could get pretty much anything that he wanted,
Mhm.
and in the blink of an eye, it was, you know, he had a cop held hostage with a bomb in his hand. Like,
Yeah.
it
Well,
was insane for people to watch if they weren't following it.
Yeah.
But
Well, and there were several stories, Botacon, Jeffrey Connors, Luca Gambino, that started from very little, worked up, and then collapsed. That's quite common. I was just kind of referring to seeing a character, someone creating a character that came from that sort of scenario. Like they're RPing that character's already kind of been in that spot, and then devolves into the life of crime or devolves into this spiral.
yeah, we really haven't seen that.
I've never
that
really seen
specific
that.
thing.
Yeah.
That's hard to do
It
though,
is
and
very
especially
hard to do.
to come in as a new character and be like, I'm established as this thing. It's very hard to sell.
It's very hard
Especially
to sell.
characters
Yeah.
who have been established and have
Yeah.
been around for years and are like, really?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah.
I've never heard of you.
Yeah.
You're not established.
Yeah.
So the come up is actually I wouldn't say the easiest, but it's just the more standard story that you can tell. This
Yeah.
would really require a lot of buy-in and a lot of creative, ideas in order to sell someone who's
Yeah.
already established and they're just spiraling down, because I could just cause unseen chaos without there being a lot, especially if they don't know the other characters. So that one's a little weird.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I'm wording it wrong, but I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, we'll I'm wording it wrong, so we'll leave that. But
As far as like civs and devolving, like
Yeah.
people starting out as criminals, I like the civ. I like characters who start civ-like. I would
Civ-like,
say.
yeah, Civ-like is a key word.
Yeah, because straight civs, it feels like that's the pacing from what I've seen personally of players who play a straight civ and then eventually go into crime is really long. Like over a year, you would have no idea. And that's
Mhm.
great if you want to play that. But for viewing personally, I'm like, I'm not going to sit there and watch all the time in hopes that something's going to happen today. It's very subtle. It is super subtle. Eddie Concord is a great example.
Eddie's a great example.
Yeah. For me personally, I like the Civ light or Civ like sort of gray area where they're mostly a Civ, but they'll run that red light, but they'll steal that car when they're desperate. But they may rob somebody if they're down and out. And it's sort of, they have that will and that drive to be like, I'm desperate. I need something. Something's not working. Something is just not clicking. And I need to, and they're just reacting, and they're reacting in an illegal way of some
Yeah.
sort. And that kind of spirals it. It just helps with the pacing move a bit quicker from
Yeah.
what I've seen.
I think it's cool when you see criminals, I'm sorry, not criminals, civilians, as you say, civ-like or civ-light, that, are going to make the correct lawful decision 8 to 9 times out of 10. But that one time where they feel like they don't have any other option, because if, your IRL brain's going, well, of course I'm going to do this. Of course I'm going to say that because that's the lawful thing to do. But taking your character and being like, maybe your character doesn't see that as an option. Maybe your character justifies or rationalizes a different choice, and they make that unlawful choice instead. I always like seeing civs do that when it's believable and they take it seriously. They understand that if I do X, I will be going to prison if I get caught. Which IRL, I don't think there's any one of us that's like, I'll go spend a couple months in prison. That's fine. Like none of us are like, that's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
I feel like
I don't want to go to prison.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Exactly. So I feel like there's a lot of civilians that don't really kind of grasp the concept of you will be going to jail. This will change you will now be considered a felon or a convict or whatever. This could change who you are as a person. And I feel like that's a huge moment for a civilian to go to prison. Like, I feel like that's it could be, I'm not saying all the time, I don't watch I know every civilian that has ever played on the server, but I feel like that's a huge wasted opportunity that is perfect. Like, you automatically have a life-altering thing that has happened to your character, and you can use that and you can spin that.
Yeah, I had that happen with Charlie, who was originally just like a petty crim. Like, she would go and like smack ATMs and like
Charlie.
just do stupid stuff like that. Yeah, she's still around. She one day went and held somebody up with Emmett, held them at gunpoint inside the Life Invader building, and that was a turning point for her because she, Armstrong, who was like her best friend, brought her in and was like, you are now going to be classified as a violent criminal. And that was life altering for her.
Yeah.
And the way that she got looked at that day, it completely changed the way that she looked at things. And she is more violent now because of that. But I knew that going into it, like, there's a risk I'm going to be going to jail, and it's going to be for something bigger than just like vandalism and like maybe, I don't know, theft. Like, she knew that, this is very, very risky. I'm going into a very public place with a gun in my hand, and I'm going to try to zip tie this person. And it just so worked out that a cop walked around the corner as we're pointing guns at this person.
Jeez.
And I was like, well, that's awkward. But ever since then, she slowly became more violent. She still to this day has not shot anyone. She's never robbed anyone. She's working up to that. The most that she's done violent wise is she's taken someone out, zip tied them, and smacked them in the back of the head with brass knuckles. That is the most violent that she's gotten. But she is working up slowly to that. Because if I shoot someone, unless I'm on my cop character, which we shoot people a lot because we get shot at.
Yep.
But like, none of my criminal characters, except for on Classic that one day when everything was just kind of like going to shit, none of my criminal characters have ever shot anyone. Ever. So
I can't relate.
I know. But like, it's never, when I pull the trigger on my criminal character, I want it to mean something.
No, I got you.
I want it to have a story reason. Now, like, if it's like my friends are getting shot at, yeah, my character's gonna help.
Sure.
Because that's in her blood. Like, she sticks up for her friends. She would do anything for them.
Yeah.
But like, if I'm personally going to like, and she's got personal people on her list that if she saw them, she would 100% take them out and shoot the shit out of them.
Yeah.
But she hasn't ran into them. So, I mean, I've always went through the don't get your hands dirty, let other people do the dirty work for you. Because not only does that provide RP for you, it provides RP for other people, and it extends the RP out across,
it's a good quest.
avenues.
It's a good quest giving mechanic right off the bat is hiring people to do stuff for you, for sure.
Yeah, I've gotten people shot before. But because I'm just like, oh, you want to know information about this person? Well, they're here, and then they got shot, and I'm like, well, I didn't do it.
Okay, what about you, McDonald's? What's your take on some of this stuff regarding civs devolving into crime or just starting as a criminal, anything like that?
I mean, it's always interesting whenever it does happen. It doesn't happen that often, I will say that.
Yeah, I agree.
Different server, different times. Mikey was like that on SOE for the longest time on SOE. Mikey was basically, the worst he did was speeding and maybe street racing.
Well, that's changed.
Well, I'm talking like very. I'm talking before family.
No, I got you.
Yeah, it's definitely changed even on family though, because Mikey for the longest time didn't have a violent felony on family, and I think that only happened 4 months ago.
It was recent, yeah.
Wait, did he not get shot? What ended up happening with that thing outside the Zona? I never heard what ended up happening with that.
That got called self-defense, and I got a ticket in 3 days without a gun.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, because it was a shit show.
Yeah, I heard. I heard.
It would have been nice to see it actually go to court, but it was still whenever that weird time was going on where people didn't really want to take things to court, including the DOJ people. So
yeah, court was weird for a while.
But
okay.
But the come up, so to speak, for people like that start out with literally nothing. They're following the rules, and then the there's a thing on SOE that I always remember. I think Oddities. I don't know if you were still on SOE at this point in time. Carl Sinclair. Does that
Carl
name ring?
Sinclair. It does ring a bell.
But Mikey had a lot of criminal friends on SOE, but would never go do crime things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That was my character in
he's
SOE
always worried
too.
I don't want to go to jail. Nope, don't want to go to jail. Hey, you want to rob a bank? No, I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
There was always that pressure, and then eventually at a few points in time it just kind of bubbled over, and then things started happening, and then things started progressing, and it's always interesting. That was a very long con, and that was like probably my favorite bit of RP that came out of SOE. In terms of family, I can't say that I've seen too much of it, but I also honestly pay a lot less attention to everything going on around me lately. So
Fair
if
enough.
it's going on, I don't know right now.
Fair
But
enough.
If it is
Okay.
going on, then I'll be like, oh shit, they do that now? What the fuck? What
Yeah.
happened to sweet innocent little like if
can-
Rory ever shoots somebody?
True. I
That-
can think of
yeah.
one character, but like for meta purposes, I'm not gonna say anything. But like, there's one character that comes to mind that I found out in character the other day is actually, a part of like the crime world.
I
And,
think
like,
I know who you're talking
no-
about because I found out something similar. But I found it out OOC.
Yeah, I found out in character, and then like I learned more OOC, but I was just like, I had no idea
Yeah.
at all. And the way that this person is RPing it is beautiful.
If we are talking about the same person, your reaction was the exact same reaction I had because I actually did find out in character, barely. Like I found out something in character that was just like, huh, wasn't expecting that. Even OOC, I was like, back up, what? Hello?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like-
My character was like, wait, really? And
Yeah.
like OOC, I was like, what the? Like,
Yeah.
there's no way.
That's also one of those things that I love seeing, and that's pretty prevalent nowadays. Are the people
Mm-hmm.
that have the face value of, oh, they're clean, they wouldn't do that.
yes.
And this
And then on the
person
back-
definitely does.
Yeah.
And on the back end, they're fucking out here selling AK-47s and
Yep.
having people murked.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so let's go kind of since we'd kind of touched on this topic these topics in various ways throughout our previous conversation. Let's kind of dive into the meat and potatoes of what we were going to talk about. So, something that was mentioned by Sarah was how to play a criminal character essentially, but still keep the interactions fun and moving, and how to like basically providing role play for others. So you mentioned Bada hated Callie, but still provided you with role play, and you could tell there was tension. You could tell that even though his character hated your character, Chief was still giving the RP. Or when your character, let's say you got Diego, right? Diego hates cops. And as far as he's concerned, he would just not even talk to him. He wouldn't even deal with them. But I try, but to do my very best to provide them with role play, even though Diego hates them. What are some tips and tricks you guys can think of that keep things fun and interactive for other players, and also help provide RP when your character necessarily wouldn't do much? McDonald's, what are some things that you can think of? Because I know Mikey's been arrested tons of times. I know that you've been a cop as well, so you're on the other side of this as well. What are some things that you can think of that help keep interactions fun from a criminal aspect, as well as help kind of keep the roleplay moving?
This is just kind of like a general statement, but a big part of it is don't let things that are outside of everyone's control affect your gameplay.
True statement. Desync,
Desync
yeah.
is a
Yes.
bitch.
Yep.
I have had more than one instance of people doing very seemingly scummy things, and it kind of gets me tilted, and then I cool off for 2 seconds and I realize, wait a second, no,
Yep.
I believe in these people more than that. But either way, we're at the interaction point. Let's get to the interaction. We're past the gameplay. Let's get to the interaction.
Yes, I agree. I think a huge part of dealing with those scenarios is obviously if the scenario is 100% scuff or desync, do your utmost to roleplay through it, but don't let it, as you just said, don't let it completely impact your roleplay. Don't let it completely force your roleplay in one direction, because that's a huge thing to let. Like, I don't know. I've always struggled with role playing through desync because Oh, look, there's a car flying in the air. That's normal. Okay. Or hey, this car was in lane 4, now it's in lane 1 and up my ass. That's a thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's always very difficult to roleplay through that, but I 100% agree that doing your best to not let it completely, it's out of your control, you can't control it. Don't let it completely sway your roleplay, because that could be bad and unfun.
Yeah. The other big point that I can think of for any situation, if you're trying to keep it serious but fun, or fun but serious, or something, it's all in the banter. That's a thing that a lot of people forget about, is whenever you're interacting with people, whenever you're like, even if you're going from getting arrested to jail or to getting processed or whatever, a thing that makes that dead gap fun is just banter.
I agree 100%. The trick with that is reading the room, because if something serious has just happened as a criminal, and something's happened where the cops have shot one of your friends, or the cops have just, done something, like, I'm playing kind of devil's advocate here, is remembering that you have a serious thing that's going on where this criminal is obviously upset, they're whatever. The criminal's job is to keep the roleplay moving. The criminal's job is to make sure that the cops are not just sitting there going, oh, they're just pissy that they lost. Like, the criminal's job is to make sure there's still roleplay, keep that banter going. But the flip side of that is for the cops to understand that this is a serious encounter. This character is being arrested for something probably pretty serious, and they're going to be sent up. They're going to lose their guns. They're going to have a bunch of state debt, whatever. And their job is to keep whatever vibe the criminal is going with stabilized, essentially. Like, if the criminal is very silly and derpy about it, then the cop's job is to kind of work along with that. If the criminal is clearly upset and clearly serious, then the cop's job is to kind of match that, right? Like, that would be my thought process.
Yeah, and this also goes for like robberies. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna circle back to my first couple weeks on the server.
Mhm.
In all my time of playing Mikey, SOE, pub, whatever, I have never been kidnapped except for my second week on Whitelist. It was Sander and somebody else on their fucking Chav characters. We had the craziest fucking interaction. They pulled up to me at a gas station whenever I was about to go rob things with Russell. We had a funny conversation for like a minute or two. They were unmasked. Like, I wasn't expecting shit, minus the part where they were in a stolen car, but that was a pretty common thing around these times, of people just driving around stolen cars.
Sure.
And out of nowhere, the masks go on, the shotguns come off, and they're like, "I get in your trunk, give us the keys." And it's like, oh, okay.
Damn.
It was like an hour-long thing, but it was bearable because the banter and the general demeanor of the whole thing was goofy as fuck, but it was still that serious, like, ah, shit, they might shoot me.
Gotcha. Okay.
I might hit a shotgun to the back of the head. Like, of all the things, they had me take this was like right after pictures became a thing. They had me take a fucking selfie with 2 shotguns to the back of my head and put it on Twitter.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
And it led into this whole fucking thing where...
But you still
a
had
mix
fun
of-
through it.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, it was
Okay.
fucking fun. I had to go... The only thing that pissed me off is I had to kind of ask things to get moved along a little bit quicker because I had to go to work in
Oh, yeah. I
25
gotcha.
minutes. So I was like, hey, if we could hurry this up. I love where this is going,
Yeah.
but I'll be straight up. I got 45 minutes left before I got a dip, and this looks
Yeah.
like it might take longer than that. And they're like- and they
Gotcha.
were real understanding.
Okay. Tease, what about you? What are some things that you've discovered both playing a criminal on various aspects on various servers, as well as playing a medic? So this is kind of a different vibe because medics get treated very differently than cops do, but also observing cops. What are some things that you've observed or come up with that, or figured out for yourself that help keep interactions fun no matter the scenario, as well as keep RP moving and keep providing RP throughout any scenario?
As far as like interactions and keeping things fun, if there's a chance for humor, I take those opportunities. It's actually been really hard on Teresa to intentionally not take those opportunities because my brain turned stupid and I really want to say something. But like, especially when it comes to interacting with like LEOs and EMS, it really gets tiring when you have criminal number 942 who's like, just send me up, just take
Yep.
me to pillbox, just go. And it shuts down a lot of roleplay for a lot of people who are not there to look down on you, but are there to interact with you.
Yeah.
And speaking from from a medic, I stream being on Gage, but there's so much downtime. I'm waiting. LEOs get all the action, and then I come in as support. So when I do interact with someone, I kind of just want a little bit of, hey, how's it going? How are you feeling? I don't think that's hard. So when I'm on my criminal, I try to keep that in mind. So if I have any excuse to be like, oh, I should change my eyes contacts. Oh, there's not much going on. Maybe I should ransack and see what happens. Maybe I should hit an ATM and then give a little to the cop who shows up. You know, I get the criminals are quiet and things like that, but it's not bad to give a little bit of injected humor or little off-color things, or just sort of like, okay, read the room and just give a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't
Well,
shut down.
And even what McDonald said about desync, that's something that comes in huge for medics, because medics kind of get screwed in this way, because I know I've been a criminal, and this is when this has happened, where I've been on Diego. I was out doing, I don't know if I was doing smuggling or if I was just in a stolen, or if I was doing chop. I think I was doing chop, and I was in a stolen car, and some sort of weird scuff happened where I had Comic Sans for a second. So I pulled off to the side of the road. I was stopped. Everything was stopped. Comic Sans went away, and I was then immediately flung from the vehicle 20 feet and downed. But the car wasn't moving. I wasn't even moving. It was just, I was magically just flung to the ground. So I'm like,
Never, ever stop whenever you have Comic Sans. Never stop.
yeah, well,
whenever
now
you
I
have-
know that. And
you always go.
yeah, and so I was like, okay, so that's a thing. But it's one of those things where, okay, I've now been down due to desync. What do I do? And I had to, at the first instance, I'm like, do I just respawn? This was scuff. Like, it's just like, what do I do? And ultimately, I was like, no, let's go ahead and give some RP to the medics. And so we called the medics, and I was like, well, how do I roleplay this? Nothing happened. So I was like, okay, my dude's wearing sweats and a hoodie in Sandy. Dude had heat exhaustion. Let's go. And we just started going with that. And I know that Tease, you had actually told me you were really appreciative of that because you needed some stuff to work on because you were training a probie at the time. So what's your take on some scenarios like that where people are down to do desync? Like what, like,
Keep it simple.
okay.
We don't need an overly elaborate thing. We understand desync happens, and desync is a bitch. I get so many calls about potholes, and they all happen at once. There was, I think you were with me that night when suddenly we got like 6 medical calls of everyone hitting potholes on Del Perro Freeway, and it was
I remember
just,
that. I remember
yeah, it was
that
just
you and I
McMillan
were on duty.
April. And it was just like pick up and go.
Yeah.
We gotta get this express because there's more. It was ridiculous. But it's okay to keep it simple. It's okay to local out of character. Sorry, desync. But keep it in character as much as possible. Just be like, I hit my head, or
Yeah.
I blacked out and I don't know what happened. And then you could do simple, you know, breathing's okay, pulse is elevated, pupils are okay. So we could just, at least we have our interactions, at least we get to interact and talk to your character. And we're not going to hold it up and slow things down too much. We can, you know, just keep the pacing. You can keep it minimal, but at least give us something. That's my recommendation. I do that as well with desync. If I know it's been slow and something happens, I'm like, all right, fuck it. Let's call 911.
Well, and even still, it's okay to be like, I need 911 because obviously mechanically I need to get off the floor. But it's also okay to be like, I don't know what happened. I just suddenly passed out and all your vitals are fine. You're back up. You need to go to the hospital? No, I'm fine. Like, everything's good. As long as you give them that role play, it's not just, please go ahead and revive me, Magic Mercy, and we'll be good. Like, as long as there's that role play done. Am I correct in that? That basically that's kind of the vibe. As long as the role play's there, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, for me personally, I can't speak for all medics,
yeah.
but I think it's more appreciated when there is some form of roleplay. And again, you can keep it simple. I don't know what happened. Like with Diego that day,
Yeah.
we had the probie, and
Yeah.
it was really slow. That was like we had 2 calls in 4 hours. I felt
Oof.
so bad for that
Oof.
probie. Yeah, so Diego just being like, it's hot. I'm wearing a sweatshirt. I just realized this. I think I passed out, even though it was desync. Was perfect because it also gave that probie an interaction he never really had before. So it was a good creative solution, and it was simple, and you know, it didn't really hog up too much time.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing, is making sure that, you know, we're not sitting there prolonging the inevitable, but at the same time that you're still providing roleplay. That's why kind of this whole topic kind of comes down to, is keeping roleplay provided. Rhythmic mentioned, I always feel like it's refusing to interact with cops just makes you look more guilty and forces them to be harsher. It's like a dance. When you know how to do it well, it's amazing fun for both sides. Exactly. It's that second section I was focusing on, is it's like a dance.
Yeah.
I will always banter with cops on Diego. Diego hates cops right now. Well, not all of them. Obviously, he likes Dawn, he likes Bauer, he likes Few, but like, he really does not like several cops for various in-character reasons that have happened. And
So
yet,
North. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, and yet because of that, he still tries. I still try and do something to give them something. It's just yelling at him. Like, I really like the encounter I had with Parker the other night when I got arrested, because Parker got Diego so riled up that Diego kind of slipped on something. Diego let slip that Tyrell was part of what happened. He didn't exactly say what. He didn't incriminate him, but he let slip because he got him so riled up that he said, "You're right. I was in the car with Tyrell." It's giving them something instead of just stop talking. You know what I mean? That's a big thing. But you were gonna say something?
North is a fantastic example with his interactions with Vagos. We went from a 1080 with Diego and Risa, where there was desync. We got pitted, and it felt like, to us, at least to me, it felt like, whoa, what just happened?
Well, and it wasn't. The sad part was it wasn't desync. That was the frustrating part. Is because originally I thought it was, and I was like, oh wait, it wasn't.
Okay, some of that was.
Yeah.
Was it? Okay, because I watched
Yeah.
Bosco's perspective, and I was like surprised. I was like, oh, I could have sworn that was desync. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah,
You were
but
saying.
so either way, like, we were in character angry. I mean, I felt so bad. I DM'd McDonald's because Risa was screaming mad.
I
And
watched
this is
that
me
VOD.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm from New York. I do that way too well. And then afterwards, we interacted with North again when we were doing the ransacking mechanic
Oh my gosh,
thing,
that was
and
so great.
Risa was getting lucky in that I found morphine, I found coke, I found heroin, and suddenly here's a cop. Well, fuck. Risa never pays her tickets. I do that intentionally. I want her to get caught. I want even the lowest form of getting caught. So she had an FTA warrant. Now she's got a bunch of drugs on her. Fuck. Well, what are we doing? I guess we're going to jail. So it could have been a thing where I could have run around the corner, dropped everything, and been okay and got out of the interaction. But I was also completely okay to have her go with this record and give North something. And his reaction and the banner between everybody was so beautiful. It was a great moment.
It was great because
and he appreciated it, because with him it's like, you never know, sometimes he's having a hard day and it's serious, and some days you're giving the role play and he's so willing to play along, and those moments were fantastic.
Yeah, that whole moment was great because for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Vagos had gone out and taken Diego's crappy Yuga Classic that says Diego's Garage on the side of it, dressed up in coveralls with tool belts and backpacks and clipboards, and basically went out and pretended to be working on cars in people's driveways as like a call mechanic service when we were really ransacking them. And we ransacked cars all throughout Vinewood and Mirror Park, and finally North catches up with us in Mirror Park, and he's like, all right, I'm getting calls about ransacking. What are you guys doing? And we're like, standing there in coveralls with an open engine and a couple wrenches in our hands going, what are you talking about? We're here working on cars. Like, and it completely threw him off, and he just rolled with it for like the next 20 minutes. It was a beautiful interaction. But that's what I mean, is giving those in scenarios where you're giving role play, him as a cop, he's rolling with it. He's not just going, mechanically, I know you're lying, but he's rolling with the scenario. He's letting it happen. And then of course that we're trying to like do the best that we can to talk our way out of it. And obviously we were doing a horrible job, but I thought it was hysterical. But Sarah, what about you? What's your take on some of this stuff? Because you've played a criminal, you played Dawn, so you have both sides of this coin as well. What's your take on some of this stuff?
I think the banter is like a big thing. I hate, and I don't hate a lot of things, but I hate this. I hate bringing like, we have like a long 1080. It's a good 1080, and I love 1080s. Everybody knows I love 1080s.
1080s are great. I love them.
And like, you know, I think everything's really good. They crashed out naturally. There wasn't a lot of desync. It was kind of a natural thing. We get them in handcuffs, instantly shut down of RP. They don't want to talk to me. They don't want to say anything. They won't even, I'm not even getting slash me's. I've had that happen before, and anybody who plays a cop has had that happen more than likely.
Yep.
And then, you know, you're sitting there trying to talk to them, trying to interact with them, nothing. Get them into the cell, and, you know, you're like, you know, I gotta search you again. Come over here, I'll take the cuffs off. They won't move. I've seen, like, you have to carry people down the stairs. Like, I'm gonna use phrasing here that I typically wouldn't use. I don't like 5-year-old tantrums. So I'm not a fan of that.
Yep.
We're all adults on the server, and it comes down to, like, I get that you're upset because we've all left RP and been upset OOC. If you say you haven't, then you're probably lying.
Yeah.
I've been upset leaving an interaction before, and instead of shutting down all RP, I soldier through, because on the other side of that is somebody else who's trying to RP with me. And I take my time afterwards and I calm down. I before going and doing anything, I calm down. And I try to just RP it out to the best of my ability. If my character's mad, you're gonna know that she's mad. 100%. Like, I'll still interact with you, and it might be brief, but I'm still going to interact with you. I'm going to give you something.
Mm-hmm.
I hate getting people into the cells and I'm like, do you have any questions about your charges? And literally the only thing I get back is, just send me up. Don't say that to me.
Yeah, please don't. For anyone out there who plays a criminal, from all of us as cops, please don't do that. And the medics too. Don't tell a medic, just get me up or just get me to the hospital. Like, just Don't, please.
I've had people tell me that on my cop character, so I've seen a glimpse into what medics deal with of just take me to the hospital. No. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I don't like holding scenarios hostage, so to speak, but I don't have anything better to be doing, and you're not wasting my time. I'm getting something out of this RP. So you're gonna RP with me because you put yourself into the situation. Sorry, there's a motorcycle. You put yourself into the situation, you got onto an RP server, you're here to RP, and if you're not, then what are you doing?
What she
Why
said
are you
times
here
1,000.
if you're not trying to RP?
Preach.
Yeah.
If
if
you're here to play like cops and robbers, then
There's
I don't-
servers
I
for that.
just- yeah, there are servers for that if you want to do that. But like, if you're not here to RP and you can't handle a basic, damn, I got caught, I'm just gonna completely shut down like a 5-year-old who just got their toy taken away from them. I don't know what to tell you other than maybe just don't do that.
If you
Because it sucks and it makes me leave the situation going, well, what did I do wrong? And
Yeah.
if I look back at it, a lot of times, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but a lot of times it's like, well, I
I
feel
didn't.
like I did everything I should
Yeah.
have done.
Yep.
I don't get why this person's so upset with me.
Well, the people have to realize that, one, if you're playing a criminal, you are automatically the bad guy in the scenario when it comes to cops. However you want to spin your character, however you want to make it look, your character is by default the bad guy when interacting with cops. Period. Therefore, there is immediate conflict that is going to happen. If they catch you doing something, they're going to arrest you. If you do something wrong, they're going to stop you. That's just how it is. They're not doing it to ruin your fun. Cops are not here to take away your roleplay or to make life miserable. We have our roleplay, you have yours, and we are by nature at odds with each other. Period.
Sure.
That is just the way things are, and it's just being able to roleplay through those scenarios and make it work and make it fun for both people. Sure, criminals are going to do everything they can to avoid getting caught. Cops are going to do everything they can to catch the criminals. Duh, that's how it works. That's okay. It's a matter of making sure that throughout those processes, throughout those actions, that everybody's having fun with it. And
I mean, I think McDonald's can probably back me up when I say this. I try my hardest to make every single interaction with a criminal something good, at least. Like, at least it's a good interaction. And I go out of my way to do that a lot of the times. And when it gets like, I get spit in the face, like, I hate that.
yeah,
Like, I put my all into my RP, and I get that sounds kind of like lame, and I don't care. I really don't. This is something that I'm passionate about, and I have been for the last 3 years.
yeah,
I put everything that I have into RP, and when I don't get anything in return, it is literally like you may as well just walked into my room and just spit in my face IRL. Like, that's essentially what that feels like.
yeah.
Now, I don't hold grudges against people, OOC, or anything like that. I don't care. I just move on from the interaction and go on from there. And after a while of RPing, you kind of get used to doing that because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But, like, I want people to put out the RP that you wish to receive. If you wouldn't be okay with a character doing what you're doing to somebody else, then don't do it. It's a really easy concept to understand.
Yep.
Like, if it was being done to you, if you would be like, damn, this is really shitty, I don't like this, I'm gonna leave this interaction with kind of a sour taste in my mouth, then don't do it. It takes you 2 seconds to figure that out. If it would make you feel some type of way, that's why a lot of the times on Dawn, I'm just like, I know what it's like on the other side of this, and I try to give everything that I can to criminals. Like,
Mhm.
there's not many cops that would unlock the cells and let 2 uncuffed criminals come out and give her a hug.
Aw.
But I did it the other day. I did it with Tyrell, and I don't remember who the other person was.
Ooh, and that's
but I
ballsy
did
with
it.
Tyrell too, because Tyrell is actually known for shooting cops too.
Yep, he said, he was like, I want to give you a hug. And she was like,
Oh, was it
Okay.
Raul?
And
Was it the
I-
Vagos that did this, Doug?
Oh.
Oh,
It
that's
was, it
funny.
was.
If
It
he was,
was-
yeah, that sounds about right for us. That sounds about right.
it was super late at night, and I literally just hopped on because McDonald's needed backup. And it turned out that, like, I had a really wholesome interaction come out of it because of that. And, like, I know that McDonald's and Tyrell don't get along. So a lot of times, like 9 times out of 10, I will take Tyrell off of McDonald's hands because I know that they have a good relationship, a working relationship between the 2 characters.
Mhm.
And when he said, I thought about it. I was like, he could knock my ass out in cells. Like, I'm outnumbered here. It is 2 against 1. But I decided to push that RP forward and see what happens. And they really did just come out of the cells, and Tyrell hugged her. And then they sat there and like shot the shit for like 2-3 minutes with both of them uncuffed in front of her. I won't do that with everyone, don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
but
no, yeah.
I wanted to see what would happen. I'm willing to take that risk. And realistically, Dawn could get in trouble for doing what she did.
Well, it's RP though. You take risks in RP. If you never take risks, and I will tell you this because, and Tease will back me up, because Paco did this. Paco took very minimal risks in his existence. Everything he did, he made sure that there was so minimal risk in everything that he did that the chances of getting caught or quote unquote losing was extremely minimal, and it was boring as shit. We hardly did anything. He never got caught. Like, sure, it was cool that I had this criminal that was around for as long as it did all this stuff and very rarely has any sort of record or anything, but where's the fun in that? Where's the fun in being completely so shadow driven that you never have interactions with people because it's too risky? Like,
It's funner to play the idiot.
it is more fun to play the idiot, actually.
Yeah, it
remember-
is.
We had this conversation in general chat before community discussion was like an actual used thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was right around the time that Josue was like full big idiot mode. No offense, bud. But like, there were so many people that were just like, we fucking love characters that are like, this is still whenever I was big idiot on Mikey too.
Mm-hmm.
That are like Mikey, Josue. There was one other name that came up, but it is funner to play the idiot. It is funner to be dumb. It leads to so much more. I tried being smart with Mikey for like the first, I don't know, month or two of playing Mikey, and there was a turning point at the beginning of the year, I think, somewhere around that time period, where it was just like, you know what? Let's spice things up. And I just did something entirely stupid. And ever since that one stupid thing, it led to a bunch of really good RP, and every other stupid thing that I've done since then has just led to RP.
And now his entire existence is just stupidity.
Yeah, I am stupid.
Okay. So moving to the next thing, because unless let's see, look through my notes here. Yeah, moving to the next thing. So we've all kind of touched that topic. Tricks and tips basically for quote unquote being evil or bad without actually being the bad guy IRL. And this is something that's probably gonna be a quick topic to kind of brush over because we've already kind of talked about it. But Tease, we'll start with you this time. What are some things that you can think of having, because you talked about Teresa like screaming at McDonald's. What are some things that you have done or can do with your character to be essentially the bad guy in a scenario, but still IRL make it fun for the other person, or make sure that the other person knows that it's not you as the character? What are some things that you've done to kind of help make that distinguishing factor?
I DM the player after the interaction, but that's me.
Yeah.
Because I know that it just happens. I think, Seraphima, you also were on a criminal at one point and you robbed Gage and McNeil at the parachute jump.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, all
And
three of
Gage
you guys.
went fucking nuts about the ring. It's just a thing I do on my characters.
It was a really I hadn't fleshed out that character yet, so like I didn't really know how she was gonna react to that, but because she was like, she felt something. It gave her, again, going back to weaknesses, it gave her a weakness. She was like, wait, that touched me in some sort of weird way. Just give him the ring back.
Mhm.
Like, it was a very weird interaction. And afterwards, she was angry and was like, oh, well, next time I'll just shoot him or whatever. Like, she was very angry afterwards. But
Which is
in-
great.
yeah, in the moment, like, it kind of took me aback. I was like, oh my God, like, oh, we're yelling. Okay. I don't know what to do here.
Yep, that's Tease. That's what she does on all her
But
characters.
I like that.
Sorry.
It was hostility without being hostile.
Yeah.
In a way. Like, and I could tell, I knew OOC you weren't upset. I knew that. I knew it was a character, but that's because I know you pretty much as an RPer. I know that I don't have to worry about you being OC upset or mad. And if you are, you'll DM me.
Yeah.
I know you will. And I say that to everyone. I agree with that. If you are questioning some things, DM people. I DM people all the time. I'm like, hey, you know, I just want to talk to you about this interaction. Do you feel like everything was okay? Like, I wasn't actually upset with you, obviously. And I mean, some people would say that you shouldn't have to do that.
It
But
helps.
I don't mind it. I don't
It takes
mind
2 seconds to literally say, "Hey, that was fun. I hope you had fun." And
Yeah.
I know that not everybody knows me, and it takes a long time to get to know me because I'm that person. So when I have these interactions, I knew Bosco can handle it. Bosco's been role playing with me since Pub. Lauren on Pub.
Oh, he
He's
got
he's
pub
dealt with her.
Lauren. He's gotten the
Yeah,
trial by fire.
he
Good
knows.
grief.
Yeah. But McDonald's I never really interacted with. So it was really important to me to be like, okay, I know how Twitch chat reacts when I'm on a character. I'm mad in character. I'm actually not mad out of character at all. It's just a good excuse to get me to yell. But I know how Twitch chat can react of, holy shit, what just happened? Oh my God, what a fucking asshole. Oh no, I don't like this. She's mad. She's tilted. This is totally out of character. It's not. It just is projected that way. So it's very important for me to also DM the player to let them know, hey, I wasn't tilted. That was an interaction. If it's too much, because I understand sometimes it could be a lot for certain people, please let me know and I will tone it down in the future. Like, I really want to work within that boundary. I think DMing players after you've interacted with them helps a lot.
It can 100%. I know that it's helped me.
So they know
like
the separation.
yeah, it's helped
Yeah.
like when the Gambino War was a thing. And the Gambinos blew Paco up in his Jeep in Jamestown. That was huge for me when they were DMing me, going, "Hey," like they just started DMing me hearts. Was all they really did. They just started DMing me little hearts, and I was like, "Okay, cool, we're cool." Like, and then it turned into this conversation, and it turned into other stuff. It was great. Anything else, Tease, that you've done to kind of help with that? Is basically being a bad guy without actually being a bad guy. Anything that you've done with your characters to make that either easier or more fun, or
I mean, I can't really think of anything. I tend to emote a lot, like slash me a lot, actually do physical emotes and things like that. This way it doesn't feel like I'm just standing there yelling and being tilted if I can. So anything you could do to just push characterization. But to me, honestly, DMing afterwards is the biggest thing. Like, I've DM'd Grove players after Elsie when they kicked us off the block. And again, Lauren was yelling at Marco and G. And I DM'd them like, hey, that was fun. That was all in character. And they're like, yep, we got you. That was a good interaction.
nice. Okay. McDonald's, what about you? What are some things that you've done with Mikey? Now, Mikey's kind of the exception to this. I don't think. Have you really played any other kind of criminals besides Mikey?
Not in depth. No,
Okay.
not really.
So, what have you done with Mikey? I mean, obviously Mikey's a lot more sociable than others, but what are some things that you've done when playing a criminal that have made things a little bit more like you help maintain that distinguishing factor between Mikey and you?
And my brain just farted.
No, you're all good.
I don't know. I usually joke with people, whether it's like during or after or long after something. Like Mikey, Nate, and Josue have shot at each other many a times, and then every time that we shoot at each other, a couple weeks later, we get together at some point in time in character, and we all just sit around and bullshit about shooting at each other. It's fucking hilarious.
See, I had never done that before until we bumped into Dawn at PDM, and Tyrell, Diego, and I can't remember who were talking to her, and we're like, "Oh yeah, we've shot at each other. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've shot at you. I don't have a shot at you." Like, it was. I had never done that
That's
before
just
with characters.
Dawn in a nutshell.
It
She's like,
was-
yeah, you shot at me. This is fine.
It was. I had never done that. I was like, this is actually really funny because Diego's like, yeah, we've shot at each other, because it helps maintain that establishment that we're just trying to get away. We're not trying to go out murdering people and ruin everybody's day. We're just like, just let us get away, and we use them as tools.
It's fucking hilarious whenever the server. There's points and times, I hate to say it, there's points and times where the server climate just kind of divulges into a constant series of everybody shooting at everybody.
Yeah.
But it's always fucking hilarious whenever you go back and are like, hey, we shot at each other.
Yeah, you
Like-
remember that one time we shot at each other? Good times. Like,
yeah.
There was a time that I was selling somebody I think I was selling them a gun. I was like, wait, have we met before this? And they're like, yeah, I think you shot at me a while back ago. And I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, I did. Oops. Here, have a gun.
Here, have a gun. Let me just.
That is something that has really happened. I sold a gun to somebody that I shot one time.
That's funny. Sarah, what about you? What are some things that you've done when you play your criminals to help kind of either maintain that separation or kind of just basically remind people that it's not you that's ticked that you lost, it's your character upset because of X, Y, or Z?
I would say I agree with Tease. Like, I DM a lot of people that I RP with constantly. I have people DM me as well, and they're like, "Hey, how do you feel about that interaction?" Like, I've had Dougie has DM'd me before after an interaction on Dawn, so different story, but you know, and has talked to me about it. I've had people like Lud has DM'd me after an interaction, the guy that plays Wraith, if people don't know. He's DM'd me after an interaction before, and like we've talked back and forth. I think that is a big thing that does help, even though apparently it's frowned upon. Don't know why, but
It's frowned upon. Wait, what?
people are like, you shouldn't have to do that. And I'm like, yeah, but you know, if it helps, then why not?
Yeah.
I don't see why you shouldn't do that, but I've
it.
definitely seen people
Yeah, do
that
it.
were against it. But I do a pretty good job of separating just me in general, separating my character from me. My character is not me. I make that very clear to people.
Yeah.
I've said that to people before because I've seen people, they're like, oh my God, Charlie said X, Y, and Z. Oh my God, Sarah must be so mad. And I come in and I'm like, listen, I
Yeah.
am not my character. My character is my character. I gave her a whole separate personality from what mine is. And while, yes, our characters are still heavily influenced by ourselves, that's always going to happen. It's not me. I'm not mad. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I just, it's, if my character's angry, which my character Charlie is angry like 99.9% of the time, she's just an angry character nowadays. Like, yeah, Charlie is gonna threaten somebody. You know, she threatened Jack the other day because she's real secretive about where her house is, and she threatened to cut Jack's tongue out and throw him into the middle of the ocean and watch the sharks eat him if he ever told anyone that,
Damn.
you know, that her house was there. And he was like, all right, understood. But I don't care. Like, I wish people would find out where she lives. It would create some conflict. I think that's great, because I don't know how this happened. She has one of the most wanted houses on the server, apparently. Didn't know that, but she does. And what?
Sorry, I was gonna say that's another thing, circling back to the separating character from self thing. Being excessive about threats you make.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
would never threaten someone in real life to cut their tongue out and throw them in the ocean.
half the stuff
like,
Paco said I would never do IRL. Like, good grief. Like,
anyone who knows me OOC knows that I am like super chill, like super chill. I will sit and shoot the shit with you whenever you want. I could care less. I do get upset about RP, yes, of course, everyone does. I leave an interaction and I'm like, damn, you know what, I didn't really get what I wanted out of that interaction, but I'm not gonna be mad at the person for it. Things don't go the way that you want them to. So when I'm playing a character that is bad or evil or whatever, like the character that robbed you and Tease's characters, she is by far the most angry and evil character I've ever played, and I only played her that one time. And I mean, you know that that's not me. You know me, OOC. You know full well that I don't act like that. But it's just keep it in character and make it very clear that you're keeping it in character, and you should be set from there. It's a really easy thing to do. I think that's why you said we were kind of brush over this topic.
Yeah.
Because it's a really easy thing to do. And if you have any doubts, DMs are always open for pretty much anyone on the server.
I'm with you guys and with Looney said in chat. If I don't know who's saying you shouldn't have to DM, DMs take 4 seconds to send, 5 seconds to respond to, and it's done. Even so much as just a heart or thanks for that RP. It's not something you should have to do. It's something you should want to do. It's something that everyone should want to remind each other that, because we're all in a community together. We're all a bunch of nerdy gamers that like to do this for fun. We're here to have fun. We're here to hang out with our friends.
Speak for yourself. I'm here to win.
I knew you were. But yeah, like, we're here we're a community. We're not a bunch of randoms that don't ever talk to each other or game with each other. It is perfectly acceptable and fine to talk to each other in the community, let alone DM each other and try and make sure that everyone's enjoying themselves and having fun with the scenario. Sure, we should all just expect that everyone in roleplay, everyone going on in the server, that the characters are not the players. We should automatically expect that because if it's roleplay. But it doesn't take it doesn't take much to do a little extra step further and to send that DM or to reach out and raid them at the end of a stream and chat with them in their chat, whatever, like something. Remind them that we are friends, we are a community, we are here to have fun with each other.
I love doing that. Like having a really heavy interaction, whether it be like hostile, angry,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, super serious RP, if I'm streaming, 9 times out of 10, if I just had a really heavy interaction with someone, 100% I'm rating
Oh yeah,
them.
I've done it many times. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it doesn't always have to be that. Like, rate whoever you want to. I don't care. I
Sure.
don't control your stream.
Yeah.
But like, I love sending, and I'll say that if I'm streaming and I'm having a really, really tense, heavy interaction with someone, I'll shout them out after I'm done with that. I'm
Oh,
like, hey, you know,
100%.
this was the
Yep.
person RPing them.
Yep.
Go show them a lot of love. You know, that was really, really heavy.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yep.
That definitely helps, because I've into interactions before, and I know OOC afterwards, like the person was streaming, and like I'll go and look through the VOD, sure, because like I like watching myself RP, why not? And you know, I'll come out of the interaction thinking like, oh my gosh, like I hope that they didn't think that was bad, or like sometimes I'll come out of the interaction and like I OOC don't handle people yelling very well. It's just a thing with me. It's I don't like it.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I leave interactions, I'm very anxious. I'm very like, oh my gosh, like I hope I didn't actually upset them. And I go and watch their VOD and they're like, oh, you know, that was a really, really great interaction. That was really great role play from
Yeah.
Sarah. It was,
Yeah.
you know, amazing. You know, this is her, go show her love.
Yeah.
And it helps me. It definitely
Yeah.
does. So
Well-
I think just being a community and like obviously caring for each other is a big
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah. Baylor says right here, when people don't talk, that's usually when OOC shit gets bad. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because your mind spins. Your mind spirals and spirals and goes, well, they probably think this or they think that or whatever, and you assume the worst because that's what most of us do.
We're all socially anxious nerds.
Most of us, yeah, it's true.
Most of us are
Yep.
introverts as well.
Kalen right here.
Definitely.
Kalen says he loves the RP appreciation channel in the Discord because it reminds people that everything is fine. That right there, if you're not going to DM somebody, if you don't want to raid them or they're not streaming, and that's cool. It takes just as much time to go into that channel, even if you don't know who they are. Just saying whoever it was that was involved in this scenario, love it. It was great. I enjoyed it, or whatever. It's there. We all have access to it. You don't even have to know who you're DMing. You can just go in there. You don't even have to say, it's like, whoever's in this scenario, you know who you were. It was great. You can even do it as vague as that, because anyone who sees it is going to know it was them and they're going to appreciate it. Period. It's not that hard. It's a wonderful little balm, essentially, when you're worried, when your mind is spiraling, like, oh, are they going to be upset about that or this or the other thing? And you see that and you go, oh, okay, they enjoyed it. I had fun. Then we're good. Because some of us are way better at separation than others. Some of us are way better at tanking a in-character loss and spinning as an out-of-character win. Others struggle with it. It's fine. It's a matter of being able to know that everyone's having a fun time, everyone's enjoying themselves. That's the key when it. And I feel like criminals are someone that really needs to take a lot of this to heart, because by nature we're the bad guys. By nature we're there to exploit. We're there to steal. We're there to, we're there to quote unquote, lightly using the term, win, even though we almost always lose. Because that's what criminals do. Criminals are trying to take the easy route. We're not trying to spend hours, trucking, because that's the legal way to do it. We're not trying to go be a better person, go to college. We're not trying to be a better community icon and go become a cop. We're trying to sneak. We're trying to cheat. We're trying to lie. We're trying to move through the city in an easier path, because that's what criminals do. They're trying to get the easiest route to the end of their goal. Therefore, a lot of criminals sometimes come across a lot worse than they really are. We're just redistributing assets. What do you mean, public service? I mean,
True.
You're not wrong.
That's what we're doing.
Yep.
That's why Charlie goes digging through cars for drugs and stuff. Because she wants to. Well, to be fair, she actually does want to redistribute them. So that's actually kind of fair to that point.
It's fancy business terms for criminal actions.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm doing this for my business. Don't arrest
Speaking
me.
of which, this actually is a good segue. So, a moral compass for a criminal. This is something. Yeah, I heard the groan. This is something that many people have tried and have dabbled with and have tried to figure out the right formula for their characters. And there's varying degrees of this, but I'm curious on your guys' take on a moral compass, good or bad, how to make it work, or even if it does work. Tease, again, we'll kind of start with you. What do you think on a moral compass when it comes to criminals?
I think they can be interesting. I think they need to be actively balanced. By that, I think a moral compass is good if a character is not willing to kill somebody, if a character is not willing to sell heavy drugs simply because of the impact in the moral compass of them realizing they're hurting somebody else and ruining someone's just life, where
Yeah.
they'd rather rob someone in the moment, quick, easy, dirty, done. That person can survive afterwards instead of having long-term impact. I think that's really interesting because it adds a level of complexity and depth to her character. But in the means of GTA roleplay, it's also very restricting. I have
Mhm.
a character who was a junkie. She didn't touch opiates. So when Oxy and heroin came on the server, I was like, I really want to touch these things. I really want to use these things. I can't because my character has a compass and I could, throw her into the deep end, but I had done that story twice already. I wasn't about to do it again just because a mechanic was on the server. So moral compasses are good. Be flexible. If there is a means of a character can shift out of that or push them out of it and see what happens, I recommend doing it because it adds a little bit something else when a character takes their compass and throws it out the window and you go, oh shit, what just fucking happened?
Yeah. But like you said, it's also extremely restrictive, and I can attest to that with Paco because that was his biggest fallback was his moral compass. I had built him this little fence around his personality and his character that made him almost impossible to play after a year on the server because all these things had attributed to his compass, whether it was headcanon backstory or it was in character stuff that had happened on the server. And it got to a point where it's like, this character is not fun to play because he won't do this, he won't do that, he won't do this, he won't do that. And it's like, well, what is he? He has nothing left to do. He's got nothing fun to going on. Or he's got nothing I can do. So I definitely with you there. I'm being restrictive. Sarah, what about you? What's your take on a moral compass for a character?
Playing a character, since I have one that has a moral compass, I can 100% agree. It is very restrictive. With Charlie, she has always been against like hard drugs, which is shocking for her because she's an alcoholic. She doesn't like doing anything with them. Like her best friend was in the meth game for a long time, and she was like, I'm not helping you make it. I don't want anything to do with the money that you're getting from it. I don't want any part of it. Like, I'll help you load it into a van and go with you as like the muscle for your deals, but I don't really want anything else to do with it other than that. And it definitely shut down a lot of RP for me, and it still does to this day, especially now with all the drugs that are on the server. Her moral compass has shifted a little bit because she's in a position right now where they're trying, to get her group of people are trying to get funds together for certain things. And she knows an easy out for that and an easy way to get money is those drugs that she's finding in a car. She could go push those on the street and make the money easy peasy. She sees people do it all day long. And she's kind of struggling back and forth. And I think a moral compass is a good way to have, again, like that weakness to your character, and to see that struggle, that back and forth, the internal back and forth of what am I going to do? How am I going to approach this type of thing? And she's dealing with that right now. She's got a van full of drugs and she just keeps looking at them like, well, what am I supposed to do now? And like she's going back and forth with like, well, I could just sell them off to someone else and let them sell them, but like she feels dirty even touching them. And it's a struggle. It's a big struggle because I've missed out on so many RP opportunities because of the moral compass. So I think if done right, I think it's a really great thing because, like I said, it gives your character some human characteristics and flaws and weaknesses. But I also think it can be extremely restrictive and you'll lose out on a lot of RP if not done correctly. And like T said, you got to have some wiggle room in there. Like, I think T said that, unless I'm making it up. But you gotta leave some wiggle room in there. Like when it comes to a moral compass, you can't be dead set on like, absolutely not. My character will not at any point in time do this. And like, there's always going to be a scenario that comes up that's like, okay, well, my character might have to do this thing that they're 100% against. Like, and
I agree.
The internal struggle comes up, and again, it leads to more story and yada yada. But
it's kind of like
it's
that.
not for everyone, though.
It's kind of like how the yes and rule when it comes to roleplay. Like everyone's like, you say yes to roleplay and then something. You can kind of flip that and make the no but rule. Like your character, no, but if this was to happen, yes, they would. So
Exactly.
if you're going to make a moral compass, if you're going to roleplay, remember the yes and rule. If you're going to put a moral compass on your character, have the no but rule. No, they won't do this, but if this happened, they might.
Yeah,
and
that's kind of how it is with Charlie. Like,
yeah.
No, she will not. She will not help you distribute your drugs that she is 100% against. But she's in a situation now where she needs the income from those drugs. So she's considering it.
Yeah,
It's,
exactly.
It's
So
not
you're
a hard no.
so
There's
you're-
always wiggle room.
so yours was no, but if I have no other option, yes. And so there you go. So that allows that wiggle room for that growth. And Redlink made a good point.
Exactly.
Evolution and continued growth on a character is super important. Even if it's negative growth, they should be progressing, and that's huge. Negative growth is still growth. It's
True.
not like your character always has to be growing into this better person when you're on roleplay. It doesn't have to work that way. It's not vertical. It's horizontal. Your character can be middle of the ground, neutral, and be like at a tug of war, can be pulled left or right, to the good or the bad. And every decision they make can sway which direction they're going. And if you put a moral compass on them that they will never do anything bad, you just lopped off half of your character's personality, and now only their decisions that they can make will go one direction, which is kind of boring.
That's true. I know for a fact that McDonald's has a moral compass on Mikey, so I'm actually a little interested.
Okay, then I'm very
On his
curious
thing.
on your take on this, McDonald's.
Same, following up on the same thing. If you're gonna make a character and they have any sort of moral compass, like even people that you don't think would have a moral compass, like fucking I'm trying to think here. Josue would fucking shoot anybody if they give him problems for the most part, but he wouldn't fuck with an old grandma, even though people thought that he would. He was totally thinking about it, but he didn't. Shit like that. Like, it's always good to have. It makes things interesting. It's where you draw a line on a criminal sometimes.
Yeah.
Or some criminals just don't have, like, they might not have that apparent line. Like, they might be the worst of the worst. Like, it might be Grove. They might take you down to the middle of fucking nowhere, burn you alive, leave you to rot, and then probably send some fucking buzzards your way or something. But even then, they still, as characters, have their own little things that they will and will not do.
Yeah.
Maybe not as a group, but their characters still have
Well,
little things that they will not do.
Groups kind of negate a moral compass because they're kind of like the peer pressure mentality, or like if you're given an order, you got to do something by your higher up. I mean, maybe not all the time. Maybe you'll have a character that will say no, but when it comes down to individual progression and individual growth, your character, as you just said, is going to have a line that they won't cross. And the cool thing is, a player may not know what that is until they're presented with it. They may go, "Oh yeah, my character has a line. I just don't know where it's at yet." And then maybe it is some old grandma, or maybe some, innocent college kid. I mean, it could be anything, and that line is presented to them. Like Sarah mentioned, when you guys were robbing McNeil and April, you hadn't figured that character out yet, and all of a sudden April's screaming at your character to not take her husband's wedding ring, and all of a sudden there's that line. It just clicked. You went, "Oh, that made me feel something. Yeah, give him the ring back. Don't mess with it." Like,
Yep.
you may not know what it is, but knowing that. But allowing your character to know where that line is when it's presented, and accepting it and respecting it and going, "Okay, we found the line. Let's go ahead and roleplay with that." And knowing where that is and using it is huge.
Yeah, with Mikey, I've heard it multiple times because my character Dawn is very close to Mikey, and I've heard it OOC from him. Mikey won't shoot at cops, but there's a but there.
Yeah.
There's a no, I won't. But
Yeah.
if this happens, I would consider it. I've heard it from him multiple times, which is why I was saying he has a moral compass. And Mikey is very, as of late, is like, "Oh, I'll shoot people. This is fine." But like with cops, ever since I've started RPing with him, it's
Mhm.
always been, "I won't shoot at cops unless XYZ," or, this situation, or "I almost shot at a cop this one time for this reason." And like, it's nice to, like I said, see human characteristics in a character that, realistically, Mikey's kind of derpy and people think he's stupid and like doesn't have a lot to him. But if you take the time to get to know him, he's got a lot to him.
That one time that I almost blew up a repair shop with Grove.
Yes.
But it goes back to what you were saying long before when we were talking about the flaws. Give me a flaw, right? Make the character feel real. That no but rule makes them feel real, because let's say you're watching somebody's stream and this character inside and out as a viewer, right? And you know that this character won't, like you just said, Mikey won't shoot at cops, right? So you're watching Mikey and Mike, blah, 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 but you also know that there's that no but rule. And all of a sudden you're watching the stream and you see in the background, or you see on the side, or you see a /me, that but trigger just got clicked. and you just realized, oh no, the stipulations that we know Mikey has in place for himself as to when he will shoot a cop just like happened. Is he gonna do it? Is this gonna happen? And it puts everybody on edge instantly, especially in character if you know the character in character, because then you're like, oh shoot, this just is he gonna like, and everyone in character, all of a sudden tensions rise, and it can change very, very quickly, and it's I think it's huge to have that.
Oh yeah, I get a lot of, because like Dawn knows what Mikey does for the most part. She knows that he's shot at people. It's not a secret. I mean, she's arrested him for it before. So, and she's just waiting for that day of like, oh no, this might be the day that he shoots at us.
Yeah.
And I know that that's going to cause a lot, not only for him, but for my character as well, because my character has, you know, created this trust bond between the two where she's like, he would never hurt me. He would never do that. And I'm waiting for the day that that trigger goes off and that he shoots at her, because it's gonna be some spicy RP.
Yeah, that'll be spicy for sure, because you build up this rapport, and it's like, as the cop, you build up this rapport with the criminal, and you go, he'll never shoot me, and then for whatever reason you stepped on that landmine that he's built for himself, and now he will shoot at you without hesitation because you stepped on whatever landmine he put there.
That'll be interesting. Dawn also she doesn't like shooting people at all. That's her least favorite part of her job is shooting people. And there was a situation I rolled up on, a bunch of people shooting each other, Mikey.
I remember that call. I was on duty for that call. That was insanity.
Maybe. Everybody, the medics had somehow teleported themselves into the train tunnels.
Oh no, I'm thinking of a different call. Apologies. I know what call you're talking about, but I wasn't on that one.
We're talking about the Innocence one. I think were you at the Great Ocean one? You were at the Great Ocean show.
I was at the Great Ocean shit show. Yeah, I was there for that. I showed up late, but I was there for that.
But yeah, so like that day, Dawn had decided to stay above ground because, you know, she felt like something was going to happen.
Yeah.
Sure enough, as soon as all the cops get down underneath, 32s, and I'm like, fantastic. So I go down there, and she rounds the corner, and it was like a brick wall. She saw Mikey's car, and she just instantly froze up. She had no idea how to do her job anymore.
Oh man.
Nothing. And she kind of snaps out of it and goes to pull around and like position herself, because she knows that she has to do something about it. And it's what got her shot. Her freezing in that moment is what got her shot, because she didn't want to hurt Mikey.
Yeah.
Even though she knows what he does, she has that line of she doesn't want to hurt him. And it's gotten her shot once or twice. I don't remember, but it's built up stuff for her. Like, she's now, it's a whole backstory thing. I'm not going to go into it, but like it built up so much story for her, and I'm glad that I had that line there. It's not exactly a moral compass, but I had that definitive line. But she's also thought of like, I might have to shoot Mikey one day. Yeah, it's gonna happen. Like one day, you know, I'm not gonna be able to say, you know, no, I don't want to, because there's not gonna be other people around that can back me up. Yep. And that day there wasn't anyone around, and she got shot for it.
Damn. Backtracking to the beginning of the year, the first Logang War, the Donnie War, the Logang CCG. I don't remember whether this was the Vagos that were around at the time.
The Vagos at the time were involved. Yeah,
I know that they got looped in. I just don't know whether they were at this specific point in time. But this is whenever Mikey was still really good on Grove, and it was late night, and the fucking Atomic Auto repair shop was open, and this was after that we figured out that Ying was really close to Reggie, like for 100%. We already had our suspicions, but there was a whole lot going on, and it was late one night, and Mikey had just gotten out of the hospital after like 2 or 3 days after getting shot or something. I don't exactly remember. Literally, I was walking down to the garage, got picked up by Chung, Jackie, and R, and we were bullshitting the entire night. We weren't really expecting anything to pop off, but we were staying together in case something did pop off. And we were bullshitting, and somehow we got on the topic of let's go blow up the repair shop. R went and got a fucking grenade, and the entire time Mikey was sitting there and kind of like not necessarily pushing, but saying, let's not blow up the repair shop. That doesn't sound like a good idea. Let's not stoop to their level, because the entire thing leading up to this war, or not necessarily leading up, but during this war, and a talk that Mikey had with a few different people in Grove were, we aren't like them. We're not going to shoot people that aren't involved. We're not going to fuck with people that aren't involved. We're not going to fuck with businesses.
Yeah.
And then that night, everybody was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go blow up Atomic Autos.
Jeez. Okay, so moving on from the moral compass, this is something we've kind of touched on already, and I just want to see if there's any more points anyone would like to drop in, which is basically the hating the cops without actually hating them out of character. And we've kind of already touched on this, but if there's any like last minute comments you guys want to like toss into this hat, when playing a criminal that does not like cops, and you know may be violent towards them, maybe hates them, maybe whatever, what are some things that you guys have done on characters that do not like police officers, to give them that role play, but not just shut down on them entirely and just stop role playing? Because I you know, as a cop, I've seen that there's been many scenes where somebody's like, well, I hate cops, and they just like they don't talk, they don't / me, they don't do a whole lot of anything except just stop talking. What are some things that you guys have done on your characters to make that a little bit better? If it's something you guys have already talked about, just go ahead and say, well, we already kind of talked about it. But if there's something else you're thinking about, go ahead and drop it in.
I feel like
Just
I've already kind of talked about it, but
Okay.
go ahead,
Yeah.
Tease.
Just keep interactions light. You don't have to give cops a whole lot. Even something as simple as, well, my day's fucked, how's your day going? Is giving them roleplay
Okay.
without talking about the subject and why you're being arrested. And you still have a demeanor of, well, fuck this, fuck the cop, but you know, interact.
Yeah.
Emote / me, just something.
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest thing you can do is if your character wouldn't talk, what would your character be doing? Would he, like, for me, Diego doesn't do a lot of talking when he gets arrested, but I / me the hell out of those scenarios. There was one when McDonald's was searching him that night after we got slammed into that pole. Diego wasn't doing a lot of talking, but he was like, when he got turned around and got searched, I / me that he used both his hands to flip off all the cops there. Like, you're at least giving them / me's is still providing something of role play for them to go off of, rather than you just standing there like a statue.
Characterize the character. If you're sitting there and you're literally just cussing me out in VoIP and I can't really tell anything in your vocal, I'm more inclined to believe, okay, maybe they're actually kind of a little pissed off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It was okay. I could understand it with you. There's some people that I can't understand that with. They just sound pissed off and then they don't do anything to characterize them being pissed off. Like, even if it's just a / me looks fucking pissed. I've seen that happen before. Things as easy as that helps out and helps people realize, okay, this is character.
Well, that's one of the biggest reasons I've always been a proponent of using some sort of a voice on criminals rather than just using your own. I'm not saying don't use your own. I know a lot of people do that, like Mikey, and I know that one of Sarah's characters uses her voice, and that's perfectly fine. I've always been a big fan of people using a accent or some sort of a voice because it helps distinguish the difference between the player and the character. I'm not saying that's the only way to do it, but it does help.
Yeah, like with Charlie, when she is angry or upset, she starts speaking really, 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 really fast. Like, I don't know how I do it, but I do. I don't do that. When I'm mad in real life, I just don't talk.
Yeah, I shut down. For me.
I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to see you. Don't breathe near me.
Yeah.
I don't want anything of that. I mean, I'll still talk to people. Don't get me wrong. But when I'm mad IRL, I just usually, it's very little that comes out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But when Charlie's upset, and this is something again McDonald's has seen, because she got upset recently because somebody got a manager position at Quality and she didn't get it, and she was pacing around, she was just rambling random shit and making no sense, and then like she would be like, wait, no, I'm okay, I'm all right, I'm not mad, are you mad? I'm not mad, I'm not mad at all right now, it's this is fine, I kind of just want to go shoot this person now. That's not me. Like, I'm very
good. I'm glad. That's
calm.
good. That's good to know that you don't want to just go shoot people when you get upset. That is healthy.
No, I usually just want to hide in my room, but
Yeah.
I'm not. that's the difference between me and the character. And like, I'd never really had to play Callie super angry, so she was always crying about something. Oh, that poor bitch. But yeah, like Dawn, when she's angry or upset or whatever, like she turns into a completely different person. She threatened to paint the walls red the other night in the hospital because she was upset because Mikey was hurt.
Ooh,
And that's not her.
yeah.
Like you can see that switch go off with her, and it's the same with Charlie. It's a switch that gets flipped, but it's completely different for me. Like I'm not going to sit in the hospital because somebody that I care about is upset and threaten the doctors that I'm essentially going to murder them
Yeah.
if they don't fix that person. Like
Yeah.
no, I'm going to sit in the waiting area and be like, well, this sucks. Like that's all you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just giving your character those little quirks that like you know, people know. It's little tells that people can see, okay, this isn't Sarah, this is Charlie, or this is Dawn, or
Yeah.
whoever I'm playing. It's just little things like that, giving your character their own personality separate from yours.
I agree, 100%. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so here's something that gets brought up a lot. Losses as a criminal, and this is basically the topic of like how to take a loss and spin it as a win. So criminals lose a lot. We get arrested, we get shot down, we get our assets taken, our assets, not asses, assets taken away from us. We get state debt. We get all sorts of things that cause us to lose in a scenario. It happens. It's just the nature of being a criminal. You are kind of have the odds stacked against you in the first place. What are some ways that you guys have taken a in-character loss and spun it as either an out-of-character like story progression win, or even as an in-character win? What are some things what are some ways that you guys do that to help kind of be more willing to take those risks, so when those losses happen, it doesn't demoralize you as much? Tease, why don't we start with you?
I'm not really sure like how to really articulate that.
Okay.
All I know is like I just roll with the struggles.
Mhm.
That's the only thing that I can really say. Struggle is good. Struggle and adversity and loss is good for a character. It sucks when you're constantly losing, but wouldn't your character get fed up and want to do something about it? Wouldn't your character be
Mhm.
motivated and driven to want to correct that or take care of the problem or hire people? So there's a lot of things that can come out of losses. I think a good example for you and I, Neon, was LC falling apart, and when
Yeah.
Paco was attacked by Noah. It was like we knew something was going to happen, but we were like, you know what, fuck it, let's take the L on this.
Yeah.
And it turned into a fucking shitload of roleplay we were not expecting, simply because of the timing of being in Pillbox while Legs and Nancy were there, and then overhearing the radio. And then there was scuff outside of Pillbox with threats against our characters and so we had to be moved because of other random shit. And it turned into this insane amount of roleplay where Phoenix Corp were outside Crusade Medical helping us, and suddenly Dynasty, and suddenly this, and we're like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So roll with it, because yeah, you might be tilted and you might need a break, and that's okay. Respect it. If you need a break, log off afterwards, just chill for a day or a week, whatever you need, and then come back and roll through the punches, because it adds a lot of character growth.
Yeah, I agree. That's could not be more accurately said. Could not be more well articulated. That is perfect. What about McDonald's? What about you? I know Mikey loses a lot. What are some ways that you've done to kind of spin those as quote unquote wins?
Anytime you lose something material, it's always good to see what you can get out of it. So so somebody that Mikey's associated with got robbed and lost basically all of their cool little neat criminal toys. We literally spent an entire day just going around and either A, making connections, or B, testing current connections and just seeing what happened. It was a very tiring day of a lot of meetings, but it was all very wholesome and productive RP. Spinning L's is a win over time. I think the best... I hate doing this, because fuck Josue, but I'm gonna go back to Josue. Josue used to take nothing but L's. And then he
Left, right, and center. It was like daily for him.
Literally everything he did, he would, even if it didn't look like he was going to take an L there, he walked himself into the L.
Yep, every time.
but eventually things still panned out for him, and it just kind of added to the character. It's Josue. Like, of course he fucked up. Why am I not fucking surprised? Here, I feel sorry for you. Have this. That happened to Josue a couple times until whatever happened with him and the Logang arc, and then he became a supervillain, or however the fuck everybody classifies him.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I remember one of the first interactions I had with Josue is actually, hold on. I'm gonna back up, and there's another one. So one of them was when Josue had no reason to, but he ran from Storm and tried to run behind the bank at Legion Square, and just decided that, like, oh, I'm gonna run from Storm, and then, oh, now I'm going to stab her on a piece of scaffolding, and like he had no hope of getting away with that, but he did it anyways, and it was a great little story piece. But the thing I was actually thinking about was when he was outside of the Bahama Mamas. This was a couple months ago, and we roll up, and we had nothing. We weren't gonna do anything. We were performing a welfare check, doing our thing. One of Josue's friends said, "Hey," it was Tobias Garfinkel, said, "Hey, you should pretend to arrest Josue, that he was trying to break into my car. He was trying to steal my car." And I was like, you wanna do that? Like, you wanna screw with your friend a bit? And he's like, yeah, we can pretend he was trying to steal. I'm like, okay, cool, we'll do it. We'll have some fun with him. So we go over, and I just tell Josue, hey, I need you to go ahead and turn around. I need to place you in cuffs because your friend here is pressing charges for trying to break into your car. And he goes, what? And instead of playing along, Josue and his dumbass runs, which is like, well, you can't do that, bud. So he ran. Storm goes and grabs him. And again, the first time I was gonna be like, no, well, it was a joke. We'll let it go. We were just teasing. Your friend's just pulling your leg. Well, then we keep going, and he runs again. And finally, like, oh, now we actually have to search you because you're running. And so it turns out he had a whole bunch of meth on him or something like that. And that's why he was running. So his friend felt ultimately horrible, and it ended up being this hysterical encounter. And Josue is trying not to laugh because he's getting arrested for this, and he's mad at his friend. It was just this hysterical interaction. But Josue took nothing but a loss in that entire scenario. It was just, he does it with flair at this point, I swear. Okay, Sarah, what about you? What are some things that you've done to help spin losses as wins, or to take them as a story progression moment?
So, okay, with Charlie, I keep bringing her up because she's like the main criminal that I have. She lost everything. And it wasn't like to cops, even though she has lost. I'm pretty sure she still holds the record for the fastest of losing a CAC license. She got her CAC license from Armstrong. 2 hours later, got it taken away, and her gun that she had just spent her last bit of money on, taken away as well. So not only did she have to pay for the license, but she also paid for the gun. She had no money and got everything taken away and got sent to jail, all within 2 hours.
Jeez.
And I mean, I told you earlier, I spun that into, she is very like, that's when she kind of went like under the radar. And she was like, I'm going to start playing things a little bit more smart now. And it opened her eyes to other things. And she spun that whole scenario into something way bigger than what it originally could have been. But she lost everything because she had somebody, Leo Ballard, was upset with Emmett, and Emmett kind of let everyone else handle his problems. And she took, somebody that she considered a friend at one point in time had just left. She decided, you know what, I'm not doing this for them. And she was about to essentially lose her life, is what was going to happen. And her two friends that she had just made were getting ready to lose their lives. And I went out on a limb and had a meeting with Socks and Bailey Bay on a bridge that I could have been thrown off of. And she turned that whole scenario around and has now built up a bit of a reputation of like sticking her neck out for people. So instead of, she did lose everything. They were moving from motel to motel because Leo Ballard was trying to find and kill them. They, spent all of their money trying to get an apartment to where they could like hide. and they lost everything that they had. But then her and Chloe separated from everyone else in the Nobodies, and they built themselves back up. It's a very like they were doing pretty okay, and then it was rags to still pretty much rags, but like they're getting there. And I've talked with Kata about this, who plays Chloe. That whole storyline of them losing everything, losing all of their friends, and being accused of being snitches and CIs and stuff like that, and losing every bit of reputation that they had, has made them the characters that they are today. And I'm so happy with where Charlie is, and I know Chloe or Katie is happy with where Chloe is. And I could have just easily given up on that character. I could have just said, well, this isn't very fun. I just lost everything. I have nothing to play for anymore. And instead I built her back up and kind of got to make a whole brand new character out of a character that I already had. Instead of just giving up and, being mad about it.
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said about taking a character that is either perceivably burned or done and building them up to a new level somewhere, and taking the lessons that they've learned and letting them take those lessons, apply them, and learn from them and move forward. And I know that, like, periodically I'll log on to Paco and play him for like an hour or so. Like last night, I logged on to Paco and T's logged on to Lauren, and we showed up at the skate park for like an hour or so, and it was pretty chill and fun. But so often I'll jump on to Paco and just kind of play him a little bit, and he's not quite there yet, but I still have that hope, kind of like what you said about building a character back up. I have this nagging thing of like, I wonder if I could build him up to something, like could I still make that happen? It may not. I've got other things I'm doing. I've got McNeil, I've got Diego, but I do think it'd be cool to take his story of all these things that he made, all these mistakes that he made, countless mistakes that he made over the course of 2 years, and to see him actually learn from those mistakes and apply them. I think it'd be cool, but.
Yeah, see, I was going to try to do that with Callie, because she's my massive fuck up girl. She fucked everything up, and she did it within like the span of a month. And I originally came back because I took that like 3-month break. I came back and I was like, I think I'm gonna try to build her up. And sometimes you just have to cut your losses with the character.
Yes,
sometimes
you
just have to move on and make a new character and try again.
Yep.
And
True
that's
statement.
what I did with Callie. Like, she's still around, obviously. Like, she's engaged to a character that is still around. And I get on her every now and then and pop up and, say hi to people and whatever. But she is no longer a character that I'm going to put time and effort into, because like I said, I cut my losses and I moved on.
Yep.
I moved her on to a different part of her story, and she's going to sit there. As far as I'm concerned, it's a perma without a perma.
It's a soft perma is what I call it.
Yeah, it's a soft perma. I sunsetted her. I'm not playing her anymore.
Yep.
And if I do decide to play her again one day, then fine. But I essentially, like I said, cut my losses. I realized that she was kind of a lost cause, and I was probably never going to get back to where I wanted to be with her. And I moved on, and that's when I started playing Charlie. And luckily, Charlie worked out a little bit better, because the role player was a little bit smarter about things. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing when I first came on the server.
And that's exactly what I've said about Paco and now to Diego, is all the things that I have messed up on Paco. I have been trying so very hard to not make those mistakes on Diego. And people are noticing. Like, I've had people DM me, I've had people talk to me in voice chat, and they've mentioned, this is so much better because of X, Y, or Z. I'm seeing the difference here. I'm enjoying this character more. This character seems fun for you to play. This character seems fun to watch, things like that. And it makes me happy that I'm like, okay, I did learn these lessons for 2 years on this other character. I can take those lessons and I can spin them and apply them. So technically it is. I took a loss on this character. I played for 2 years. I played him on 2 different servers, or 3 different servers, 4 different servers. I don't even know now. And loved him on all these different things and did all this stuff with him. It just didn't quite work out. And instead of getting upset about it and throwing in the towel, I took those lessons. He didn't get to learn them, or he did, but he didn't get to apply them. I applied them to a different character, which is now fun for me. It's fun for others. I'm creating role play. It's a much better situation.
Yeah, I've seen lots of people take, characters that have been essentially burned, and like, I know that you and Tease will definitely remember. I think his name was Toby. He was in the Kings.
Oh yeah. What was his name?
Huxley.
Tobias Huxley. That's what it was. Yep. Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, I learned this. I didn't know it, but at one point in time, he was completely burned, cut off, exiled from everything.
Yeah.
And he spent months building his character back up. And I didn't know any of that. I just thought he was just always originally a part of the Kings. He was always with Bob. I always just thought that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I learned the backstory to it, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that you could build your character back up like that. And that's kind of what gave me the inspiration with Charlie, was like, yeah, at one point in time she was being looked at, you know, as a part of the snitch group, is what the Nobodies was kind of known on the streets. And she left the Nobodies with Chloe and spun that back around and was like, no, I don't snitch, but I can give you information about other people if you want it. That's kind of her whole thing. And she kind of got built up and, you know, made connections and moved on from there. She is by no means like a top dog in the criminal world, and I don't want her to be, but she has her place on the server, and I'm glad that I didn't give up on her, because I wanted to. I really did. I was super disheartened with the way the things were going with her.
Yeah.
And I instead, like T said, I took a break for a little bit. I took a break. I came back with a fresh mind, and I was like, all right, I'm going to put these ideas in motion and see what happens. And luckily it worked out. Sometimes a break can make a world of a difference with a character.
It can.
Yep.
It really can. Okay. So we're already at the kind of the 2-hour mark here. So we'll go ahead and kind of wrap up this last little bit here. So the last one I kind of wanted to talk about, and this is something that it's completely offshoot of everything we've been talking about. It's something that I've kind of noticed, and I think it's cool to see, is the idea of calling yourself in, quote unquote, or like leaving breadcrumbs. So from a cop perspective, I know, Dawn, you're an investigator. I know that
Loosely.
I know that McDonald's is now finally a part of the PD and everything. When it comes to investigations, investigating criminals is nigh on impossible, if not completely impossible, and super unfun if there's nothing to go off of. If all you have to go off of is the mechanics of the casings left on the ground, or cars that are left on scene, you have almost nothing and you can't do hardly anything. So your roleplay pretty much dies out. I know personally I appreciate finding even the smallest breadcrumbs to a case, whether it's a scene, whether it's a 311, a 911, a text message, a phone call, any number of things. I love it. But I also like doing it as a criminal. I like leaving those breadcrumbs. For example, of what I'm talking about, the night that Diego and the Vagos were trying to run from a jewelry store robbery, and it turned into a shootout in Mirror Park. McDonald's was on, I think, one of the cops that got shot. I think you were still a cadet at the time.
It was his first 30 minutes of cadet.
Yeah.
Nice. Welcome to the PD. That night, Diego, obviously there was a bunch of weird stuff that happened. I got put into a car, and then I should have been in Paleto. Like, Dougie was seeing me in his car in Paleto, but I just got magically poofed from the car and was still on the floor in Mirror Park, but no one could see me at all. Sarah ended up Sarah Apocalypse ended up finding me and helping me out. But regardless, Diego made it to Paleto, got himself cleaned up and patched up very abruptly, and then he forced his way out of the clinic. And I left a 311, a 911. I left all sorts of scenes in Paleto, and left scenes in Sandy Shores, and I was leaving 911 call. I was doing everything that I could. I wasn't trying to get caught by any stretch of the imagination, because that would suck. But I was trying to give a fighting chance to the officers that were involved, beyond just, oh, he got away. That's it. That's the end of it. I'm going to use my mechanics and I'm going to get around all this because of this, that, and the other thing. Like, no, I'm going to leave information. I'm going to leave points. So I'm curious on what you guys think of that. What's your guys' take on breadcrumbs, leaving scenes, leaving information, any of that kind of stuff? McDonald, we'll start with you. What's your take on this, both as a cop as well as a criminal that would be doing it?
Scenes really help, but sometimes obviously you don't always have time for scenes.
Yeah.
If there is big shit, crim tickets. Oh my god, crim tickets are great.
Wait, crim tickets?
Criminal
the-
evidence.
Oh,
tickets.
okay, okay. I was like, wait, what? Crim? That's new. Okay, gotcha.
I call them crim tickets because basically.
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
But there was a big ass shootout in Toledo that nobody apparently was on scene for, so there was literally nothing but shell casings on a scene, but like 5 people got downed. And cops, whenever they got up there, apparently didn't find anybody. I didn't know that in character.
Okay.
But there was some shit that happened that was really bizarre, and we didn't have time for scenes on there, so obviously we couldn't leave things immediately there. But later that night, we went in and did a crim ticket after everything was said and done, and It took a little while because of some OOC things that happened for things to actually get done with that, but it's always nice to have things evolve, especially whenever you're in weird areas and there would be things like blood or whatever present.
Yeah.
Another thing is the little things matter a lot. /me's statuses. Like there's been more than one point in time where you just have a status of there's a vague outline that looks like this in a backpack without obviously giving it away.
Yeah.
And you can do that for all sorts of things. You can do that for nothing just to keep people on their toes. Like I've done that before. I've carried a laptop on me and I've said that the backpack looked full and heavy or something like that, and then I got stopped by a cop and was like, "What's in the bag?" And then they're like, "Oh, okay, it's just a laptop and some shit." Okay.
Yeah, I think leaving is most because like we are so mechanically bound with inside the confines of the server as far as what we have access to or don't have access to, whether it's cops and criminals, that with the addition of scenes and statuses and /me's, you can get around all of that and you can create so much better role play for doing that. And you can give nuggets, you can give cookies to your fellow role players they can use for their role play. Even if it doesn't amount to much, you can still do it, and it helps progress people's role play. Tease, what about you? What's some of the things that you've done to, I know that you've done this many times with your characters. What's some of the stuff that you've either done or enjoy doing or want to see more of?
So a good example is like with Teresa. She's a little shithead who likes to tag cop cars in Mission Row. And so what I end up doing is that she has a tagging outfit, and I'll do like McDonald's was saying a status, and she has a backpack, and I'll do a status of like you notice that Teresa's backpack rattles slightly as she moves. This way, if she does get caught, it's like they're spray cans. It connects
Wait,
things,
are you
even
the
if
little
it's not
shit
obvious.
that spray painted my car?
No, that was me.
Probably.
Oh,
wait.
Well,
Somebody did.
which car? When?
It was outside of Mission Row. I literally
Oh,
went in to
her.
drop off evidence and like
Probably.
came out and there was a yellow something
Yep.
on her car. and
Oh,
I
yeah,
like,
that was me.
"Who
Yep.
the
Yep.
I was so
Yeah.
like in character. I was like, who the fuck did that? Like I wasn't even inside that
Vagos
long.
have tagged cop cars so many times, it's not even funny. Diego
And
tagged
ambulances.
2 cop cars when Bauer and I think it was Dawn actually had their backs turned. Remember when Rory had her riot for the chicken nuggy thing a couple of months ago?
Oh, yes, I remember my car getting
Yeah,
tagged.
Diego snuck behind all of you guys and tagged both cars and then left, and no one saw him, and it was amazing. But anyways, I interrupted. Go ahead.
Also, I like what Rohan mentioned in chat. A live chicken is in Lauren's bag.
Yep,
So we did that like last week or something, just for shits and giggles. Logged onto her, and the Jamestown chicken thing just became such a meme in my chat whenever I fucking played her. That she loves chickens, and it's got to be a Jamestown chicken because they have switchblades under their wings, apparently. So we went to Jamestown. We stole a chicken. And I had the bag on me like a duffel bag, so I did a status. You notice a live a chicken's head's popping out of Lauren's bag, and so we ran to teach at the skate park, and EMS showed up, and Ren responded, and Ren was like,
Do I wanna know-
She doesn't flash me.
Yeah.
She's like, do I really want
Do I
to
want to ask why there's a
Those are-
live chicken in your bag right now? We're like, don't
Yeah.
ask questions you don't want the answers to.
Those are super small moments, but
Yeah.
honestly, it gives another player an invitation to react. Like Ray noticed the backpack and was like, "Hey, do you have a lot of soda in your bag?" And Teresa was like, "No, I'm going tagging." It's like, "Oh shit, let me know when you go next time, and we can do it together." I call 311, and I don't call 311 in on myself as much as I should, to be honest. But I love it when people do. I've seen examples of people doing low jack car systems and things like that.
I saw that
or
one, and that made me
locals.
smile.
Yeah.
When I saw that 911 coming in of a low jack of a car with the license plate and everything and the constant ping, I smiled so wide. I'm like, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
John does that shit on fucking Daryl.
But yeah, give breadcrumbs. It's hard in the moment when you have, especially when there's something serious and heavy going on, like when the night we murdered Chewie.
Yeah.
That was super fast, and it was super in the moment. That afterwards, I think all of us were reeling in some capacity of,
Yeah.
that didn't feel good.
Yeah.
It didn't feel good.
No,
We
it
just
didn't.
run, gun, and left, and we left the shell casing, sure, but it could have been more. And so there was like a ticket opened up where the player of the victim, Chewie, was like, hey, I really want to do more with this. I really, want there to be a story here. And so I was pinged and it's like, hey, are you guys cool with this? I was like, yeah, you know what? The characters fucked up. They didn't cover the scene. They didn't cover the evidence. They just dipped and ran. There would be repercussions for it. Do it. And it made me feel a lot better that there was some role play and storyline happening from that. So evidence tickets are fantastic
Yeah.
for shit like that. Just winning without risk and anything else, without evidence, without tickets, without scenes, without status, it just kind of feels a little, I don't know, not great.
Well, and not to mention, I mean, obviously we go for authentic on the server. We don't go for realistic. But there are a lot of times when you have to remember ATMs have cameras, parking lots have cameras, parking structures have cameras, buildings have cameras. I mean, not saying everybody needs to roleplay with them all the time, or that you should even use them all the time, but don't just go, well, it's not a mechanic of the server, so therefore we don't ever need to use it. You can use them. If a camera would have spotted you, if you're staring at a security camera with no mask on and you just shot a guy, it probably would benefit to drop a ticket in and be like, hey, my character fucked up, made a mistake. Camera caught us. If they went inside and if they were able to secure the footage, this is what they'd see. And I've had a couple evidence tickets with a couple different players that have done that, and I love the way they handle it. It's not so much, here's all the information, have at it. It's more of, hey, where are you guys at? And the cops will go, okay, well, we've done this, this, and this. They go, okay, well, then this is the information that you would have found. This is the stuff you would have gotten. And then they go, okay, let me know if you guys talk to this person. They go, okay, well, we've had this conversation. Okay, cool. Here's the stuff you would have had. And I love that because it's like a mystery puzzle. It's like a game where it's like, hey, you've got to do these things and you don't know what you're going to find. But then when you find it, the guy goes, okay, here's what you found. I much more prefer that to this, here's a ticket with all this evidence and you have to find it, but you already have it. Because it's like you have to go do the RP so that you can use this rather than going and doing the RP and seeing what you get. I like that much more.
Imagine giving the cops a quest.
A cop's a what? What? Hello?
I think he
dead.
died.
For cops.
Oh, he's.
Hello?
Oh, you're
He's
back. Yeah,
Okay.
say that again.
Hello?
Yeah, you're good. Say that again.
Okay.
And he's gone again.
God.
He's having a hard time.
Yup. I thought it was me at
Hello?
first. There we go.
Hello.
No, I'm watching my Discord literally just go up, down, up, down, up, down. Being a quest giver for the cops basically is what you just described.
Bingo. Exactly.
They gave you quest,
Yep.
which is something people don't often do.
Quest giving
I-
right now is. Well, first off, quest giving is difficult.
Weird.
It's very hard. But I think right now the server's struggling with quest giving as a whole. At least from what I've seen. I'm not saying that's the case across the board. I'm not saying that's a complete blanket statement. I'm saying from my observation, from what little I've seen, I don't see very much of it, and I struggle with it personally. So.
Dark web is good for quest giving. From
Dark
what
web-
I hear,
Dark web
I've
is one I
seen,
hear,
but
yeah,
I don't-
but
Oh, that
I've-
reminds me. I need to
don't-
check that on one of my characters.
I-
Thank you.
I hear about it,
Oh
like
my
you're like, oh, if
God.
you see this stuff, do this stuff. But then every time I log on to check it, there's never anything there. So it's like, because I from what I've heard, it's amazing. Some of the stuff that I've heard on there is super cool, and I would love to see more of that. Okay. Well, I have a bug on my screen apparently. That's wonderful. Okay. So let's go ahead and kind of wrap this whole thing up. Final thing is any advice that you guys can give to someone who has either never played a crim or is creating a new criminal character, or someone who's new to the server and making a criminal character. Any advice that you can give to those people in regards to how to make a criminal character that is both fun to play, as well as fun to interact with, and fun, just a good healthy character all the way around. We'll start with Sarah and we'll work our way back to Tease. So Sarah, what is some advice that you can give to someone who's creating a character either for the first time as a criminal or first time on the server?
Put out the RP that you would wish to receive if you were on the other end of that. Put out the RP that you would wish to watch on a stream and you would find intriguing. If you want to be a shitlord character, go ahead and do it, but do it to the fullest. Like, there are classified shitlordy characters that are entertaining and can still provide story and push story forward.
Mm-hmm.
Like Stanley and Russell and Mikey and all of them are technically classified as shitlordy characters because, you know, they go and knock over stores and get in 1080s and yada
Mhm.
yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
But they each individually have their own personal, like, not only skill sets, but their own personalities. Take the time. You don't have to write up an entire backstory, but at least get your personality figured out.
Yeah.
You know, figure out, is this person right off the bat a hostile person? Are they more of a derpy, fun, can joke around with person? What, you know, maybe figure out a trigger or two, things like that. And the whole leaving breadcrumbs thing, like, if you're going to do stuff like that, take the time, either open up a criminal evidence ticket if you don't have the time to do it on the scene, or, you know, write up scenes.
Okay, I agree with all of
Stuff
that.
like that.
Yeah, using
Yeah.
the tools that the server has given to you to provide roleplay for others, not just yourself. 100%.
Yeah, coming from a cop, because it's not just because I'm an investigator. I was doing this stuff before I had the tag.
Mhm.
Criminal evidence tickets, big +1.
Yep.
I had something recently where if I would have showed up, it would have looked like 2 melted phones on the ground and a Molotov was thrown at it. Luckily, it was Sarah Apocalypse who opened up the criminal evidence ticket and gave me all of this information.
Nice.
And now I have more to go with. So stuff like that, leave little breadcrumbs if you can. Give your character something more than just I rouse stores or I do this. You have different avenues that you can explore with your character, and don't be afraid to explore them.
Nice. Okay. McDonald's, what about you? What is some advice you can give to someone who's making a criminal either for the first time or a new criminal or something along those lines?
Have fun, but make sure you can still tell that other people are having fun.
Nice.
Easy peasy clap.
Okay, nice. All right, Tease, what about you? What is some advice you can give to someone who's creating a new criminal or their first criminal?
Don't stress a clean record.
Oh,
Please don't.
Yes, please don't.
That will cause so much stress, out of character stress. It'll limit a lot of things, and it'll just make a miserable experience. Take risks. Criminals who, honestly, the criminals we know and the criminals that stand out are the ones who you hear of, the ones who are taking those risks, where they're like, I'm going to hit an ATM and try this thing. Oh, it went really bad, and now you have an interaction with all these people. So try it. Honestly, the first time you get arrested or your record is sort of marked, it makes it so much easier. It's usually when you're riding the wave of my record's still clean, I'm just going to keep it going, that you start to stagnate. Don't
Yep.
let that stagnate. Let that record get dirty, have fun, take risks, do things.
Well, and
Don't
it's not
stress winning.
and it's not so much it's not so much like doing everything you can to keep it clean and taking all these really silly risks. It's more of, you know, obviously criminals don't want to get caught, but at the same time, if your character is presented with something that would make sense for your character, but you don't just want to get them to you just want to have that clean record for whatever reason, let them take that risk. Even if it's small, even if it's big, let them take it and see what happens. It doesn't need to be something silly for the sake of getting caught. It could just letting those scenarios happen, and letting the if my record is spotless, then I'm winning RP. Never mind. There you go. Mongorians just set the record straight. There you go. You have to, in order to win RP, you have to have a spotless record. All right. Well, we have now been going for almost 2.5 hours, which is a little bit longer than we anticipated, but we had net issues, so it happens. So, real quick, thank you guys very, very much to McDonald's and Tease and Sarah for joining me today. I had a great time. This was awesome content. This was awesome stuff to talk about. I love talking criminal RP because there's so many facets to it, and there's so many ins and outs that never really get touched or talked about. I value these guys' opinions very, very much. I hope that you guys in chat enjoyed it. If you guys, again, like I've said before, if you guys are interested in discussing roleplay on this podcast in the future, please shoot me a DM or jump in my Discord and we can talk. I'm totally down for that. My actual advice to criminals, start blasting. Yeah, what he just said. Actually, before we keep going, before I stop, that is actually a really good point. Criminals need to be less afraid of pulling the trigger. Like, big time.
So I have a quick opinion on this.
Yeah,
I'm going to slide in.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Gunplay is a big thing, yes. However, it is a lot more satisfying to pick someone up and beat them with a bat.
Yes.
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 Very
yes.
big plus
Yes.
one to that.
Yes.
Beat people up.
Yes. I want to, like Vagos right now specifically have been focusing that. Like Diego carries brass knuckles a lot of the time. Not a switchblade. Like obviously we carry guns, sure, but we're not. Most of the time we're talking about picking people up. Not once have we talked about taking someone out to the desert and shooting him. Every
Yeah.
time we're gonna go break bones, we're gonna go bust jaws, we're gonna go smash their head in, like we're gonna basically put them in a scenario where they are left with the final decision of what do I do with this. They're
Yeah,
left with,
oh.
do I perma to have being beaten senseless, or do I roleplay a bunch of injuries? And they can.
A lot of people like to jump to the gunplay thing, and some people that in my personal opinion here, some people make a mistake by escalating things to gunplay
Yeah.
when they don't need to.
Yeah.
But
0 to 100.
the thing is if you're going to shoot somebody over just like pissing that over them, like saying something, that's kind of dumb. Beat them up.
Yeah.
Do something, because the thing is then you're going to get pissed off whenever you hear out of character, and I'm saying this because I've seen it happen a lot and I've heard it happen a lot. You're gonna get mad whenever you hear, oh, they didn't RP out getting shot 5 times.
Yeah.
Because there's no value to getting shot if literally all they said was you smell and then you shot them.
Yeah. No, 100% agree. 100%. When I said people need to be less afraid to shoot, it's because I'm still stuck in the pub mentality of everybody carried guns and nobody shot each other. Like,
It's true.
nobody shot each other on pub. It was very, very rare you heard about a shootout
Actually,
happening.
I actually the
I
one and only
blasted
time
so
I
many
shot
people on pub.
anyone on a criminal character was Propane's stupid neighborhood watch character
Oh
at
my
the
god.
at the Yellow Jack. I
Yeah.
shot him because he was beating someone with a fucking flashlight.
Yeah. But no, I big time agree with McDonald's. Be more proactive with melee weapons. Be proactive with beatings and fist fights and things like that. And and don't jump to gunplay as quickly. I do agree with that. So
Smacking Styles with a police baton for being stupid on the east side and him crying afterwards.
gosh.
So satisfying. I would have felt bad if I shot him.
It
But with a nightstick, hell yeah.
That was so much fun. I'm so glad we streamed that too. That was beautiful. Okay, so damn it, all I can think of is this big ass afro getting smacked to shit. Okay, so anyways, now that we've tangented off to that, bringing it on back, we are going to go ahead and wrap it up here for the day. Again, huge thank you to these 3 for joining me. I hope you guys had fun being a part of it, as much fun as I had you being a part of it as well. The Grove and Vagos fight was dope.
Oh, the old one from the beginning of the year. This wasn't your Vagos. This was
Yeah.
DayZ's Vagos.
Oh, those Vagos. Okay, I heard about that fist fight. I heard it was great.
The big old Grove CCG Vagos fist fight in the alleyway by the fucking hardware store
Nice.
was that's that's literally the best thing, and it didn't even result in like a gang war or anything. You would think something big like that involving 3 gangs would start a gang war, but it didn't. It was just a big fight, and it was, damn, you guys actually stepped up. Congrats. That was the outcome of that.
That's cool. I like that. Okay. Well, like I said, guys, thank you guys for joining us for the podcast. If you guys are interested in taking part in this in the future, please hit me up in the DMs or on Discord. Like I said, huge shout out to these 3. All 3 of them do stream, so please check out their streams. Let me go ahead and toss them in here real
I
quick.
do.
You know, somebody in your chat's gonna be like, "Wait, Sarah streams?"
Okay,
When?
it's been a hot minute. It's been a hot minute.
I streamed somewhat recently. I just don't. Me and streaming don't get along, but I will stream more. I swear.
Wait, did I spell your name wrong? Oh, I did spell your name wrong. Shit. Hold on.
Did you?
Yes,
Oh,
I
you
did.
did?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
I don't know who that is, but there you go.
Non-existent.
Yep.
Damn.
There we
Well,
go.
bye.
Fixed. Okay. All right. But yeah, the 3 of them do quote unquote stream on occasion. So please check them out and check out their content. They are amazing content creators and role players. Huge thank you to them for joining. And yeah, let's go ahead and see if we can find somebody to check a host to real quick and call it for the day. Who's live?
See, I told you somebody was gonna say Sarah streams. It's somebody that watches me frequently when I do stream.
Let's see. Wooter is live. Sixy is live. Immortal is live. I host Sincere a lot. Let's host Wooter because I never raid him.
Should have gone to your life too. Do you not use Hazroot? Hello?
No, I actually do not use the hazard. I just check
Oh my god.
I just check my list because I follow as many people as I can from the community. So
Hazroot is amazing.
He just links it.
yep, I see that. Okay, chat. So there you guys go. We're gonna go over and show Wooter some love. I will catch you guys maybe later this evening, if not tomorrow. Like I say, thank you to everybody who watched. Thank you to Tease, McDonald's, and Sarah for joining me today. Hope you guys all had fun, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye.